Good afternoon. What's up? Good afternoon. What's up with the Tuesday? Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Double tap at the like button. Come on in. We coming to you live. We coming to you live. Double tap at the like button as you come in. Don't be stingy with the likes today. We coming to you live from 2026 Ankara Summit. 2026 Ankara Summit. Donald Trump just arrived to a regal reception. Donald Trump just arrived in Turkey. We started talking about this yesterday. As you guys come on in. Perks of my podcast, back with the blast. #1 podcast on YouTube. This is what we do here. Geopolitics. Yesterday we talked about the funeral in Iran. And then everything I said about the funeral in Iran happened to be true. As you come into the chat, double tap at the like button. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. You're seeing President Trump arrive at the 2026 NATO summit in Turkey. It's the Ankara summit. Double tap at the like button. 2026 Ankara summit. We're going to break down the talking points. We're going to break down the victories, the do's, the don'ts, the woos, and the won'ts, all of the above right now on the Perks Summit podcast, coming to you live from the 2026 Ankara Summit. President Trump just arrived to a regal reception. What we're watching right now, what you got on the screen behind me right now is President Trump arriving in Turkey to a regal reception like a king. Is it King Trump? Is it King Trump? Is Trump king of the world? Double tap at the like button. Is Trump king of the world? I need to know right now. Did you see Trump being received in China? Who remembers China? Who remembers China? Who remembers how Trump was received in China? Trump king of the world. Is Trump king of the world? Double tap at the like button. Now we have Trump again being received in Turkey for a NATO summit to another regal. I'm not the only one. You can check internet all over the internet. They're saying it's a regal reception, a regal royal reception, and it just harkens back to China when we went to go see Xi Jinping. And then we had viral moments when Trump went to China. We got the Straits of Hormuz closed. We invaded Iran in February 28th, and then there was a meeting in China. It got postponed because we wanted to double down on Iran. And then we go to China, and then Trump is received and then I contrast, and then the internet follows me. You see how Barack Obama was received. I think it was 2010 was the last time we were in Japan. Barack Obama, there was no reception for Barack Obama. They wouldn't even bring out the stairs for Barack Obama. Barack Obama had to parachute out the Air Force One. Barack Obama looked like he was going to rent a car. Barack Obama, when Barack Obama went to Japan in 2010, it looked like he was going to Hertz rent a car and they was giving him a minivan. But when Trump showed up in Japan, this is the contrast. Trump shows up in Japan, Air Force One at night. Number one, Xi Jinping did not greet Trump at Air Force One. The vice president did. The vice president, but it was children, it was soldiers. It was so much going on, regalia. They were chanting. It was so infectious that Trump stopped and they looked at each other. The vice president looked at each other and was like, what's going on? People love Trump around the globe. The next day, so that was Trump getting off the plane in Japan. Everybody went crazy. The next day, because Xi Jinping did not meet Trump at Air Force One and he missed the photo op, I said to my audience, and then I have an expat partner who lives in China. I said, you know what's going to happen? I said, there's going to be another reception because Xi Jinping will not miss this opportunity for a photo op. Xi Jinping will want to recreate the photo op. Now, here it is, Xi Jinping. So Trump had 2 red carpet receptions in Japan. Now, look at this. Trump had 2 red carpet receptions in Japan. Now, Trump has just arrived in Turkey at the 2026 NATO summit, and again, another regal royal reception. Look how Trump is received. Everybody is there. Look at the carpet. Look at the army. Look at American flag waving proud. Do you know yesterday I had to report that some places in America, 4th of July, told Americans they couldn't have an American flag. Look at how American flag is proud in Turkey. The American flag is flying proud in Turkey, but some people on 4th of July didn't want an American flag. Look at Trump walking down the blue carpet in Turkey, and we're going to go over the talking points. This is the NATO summit And people are asking, why is it? I argue this is happening because of the decline in Iran's influence in the Middle East. Iran's influence, how many people know about the Abraham Accords and the changes that Trump made to the Abraham Accords? What are some of the core talking points for the U.S. and Trump defense spending and targets? Trump in the U.S. has demands massive 5% GDP spending floor, leveraging the U.S. on $900 billion, 3.6 GDP baseline. The counter argument from the NATO allies is they pointed to 20% surge in defense spending across European nations and Canada as evidence as major good faith burden. Do you believe that the NATO countries are paying their fair share? Put a 1 in the chat right now. Do you believe that the NATO countries are paying their fair share? This is live from Turkey. We're going to get into the talking points. Effectively, Donald Trump effectively forced European allies into defense scramble, forcing them to explicitly defend their budget trajectories and outline concrete implementation plans to the administration. This was seen as a victory. We're going over talking points as I show you the regal reception of Donald Trump in Turkey. Double tap hit the like button. This highlighted systemic continent-wide military industrial expansion and a new multi-billion-dollar push for advanced tech, drone training, and private investment. Donald Trump, Mark Rubio, and J.D. Vance, and this channel has said numerous times, we have Spain as a free rider. Donald Trump today spoke about how he felt about Europe when they turned down Greenland. I was surprised that Greenland came back up. But number one, he lifted the sanctions. He lifted the sanctions on Turkey. We are watching Donald Trump being received in Turkey at the 2026 Ankara summit, being received like a king. And I said to my audience, this is very similar to how Donald Trump was received in Japan. And it's so horrible that in our own country, nobody recognizes the regal royal breathness of the president. Donald Trump has had 2 red carpet receptions in Japan. Now at Turkey, across the world, at a NATO summit, here he is again. Blue carpet, everything laid out for Donald Trump, the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, being received in Turkey at the NATO summit. What do you think? How many people have been in one of these rooms where there's key players, decision makers, and how someone walks in the room, how someone is received sets the tone of the meeting. And I'm telling you right now that America got everything it wanted. It demanded more money from Europe. It demanded more inclusion from Europe, and it lifted sanctions off Turkey. What we're doing here today is we're talking about the brand new. What we're talking about today is this is Trump being received in Ankara, Turkey. The level of pomp and circumstance cannot be overemphasized. Do you see what you're seeing? This is what they call this. This is the armadillo. This is Donald Trump in the Cadillac. They got it all the way here from the United States, and he's being a caravan by horseback soldiers. The regal pomp and circumstance cannot be understated. Look at what you're seeing. Look at how he's being received to the Turkey palace. This is your president. This is your president, Donald Trump, arriving in Turkey for the NATO summit. Double tap hit the like button as you come in. Some of the talking points: the Middle East strategy and Iran. Views on Iran collapsing regional leverage as an absolute priority demands full, unconditional base access and overflight rights from allies. This is what we demanded. Unconditional, because unconditional base access. It shouldn't have been, if you ask me, it shouldn't have been something we had to ask for or negotiate. Stance: the U.S. insists on keeping the alliance primary operational, focus tethered to territory defense and Russia ongoing threat on the eastern flank. A lot of times what I've been saying to you, where is the rift between NATO and the U.S.? NATO, Starmer and Macron and the Europeans fear Putin, and Russia. The rift between NATO and the U.S. is the U.S. no longer has a reason to fear Russia. So we were hornswoggled and hoodwinked into the Ukrainian conflict. Liberal Democrats and the Europeans who align with the liberal Democrats want to keep us in the Ukraine, want to have a nuclear conflict with Putin. Trump, America first, Republicans, we want to negotiate with Putin, but we do understand why Macron, why Starmer would be worried about Russia proliferation. But what Trump said today, and I agree, there's bigger concerns in Europe. Europe needs to be worried about their immigration crisis. There's bigger concerns in Europe besides Putin and Russia. If Europeans today, listen to me, if Europeans today in Belfast have to worry about Islamic immigrants stabbing and trying to decapitate people, Ireland goes up in flames, Scotland goes up in flames. If you have levels of violence where African Islamic immigrants are attacking white Europeans, white Britons, then what is truly going on in the UK and Britain? No one is being honest about what truly is going on. Double tap hit the like button. We're coming to you live. We need to worry about it too. We need to worry about Muslim proliferation. I showed them Jinky Baby. I showed them Minnesota. I showed them in New York. I showed them. Did you hear about the congressman from New York? A Jewish man in New York went to a coffee shop in Brooklyn and he was refused service because he was Jewish. This is in America. This is in America. So check this out, Jinky Baby. I talked about Minnesota. I talked about New York. And you know what, my chat? I got the #1 chat. If you're not subscribed, double tap hit the like button. I got the #1 chat. You know what my chat said? Dearborn, Michigan. My chat, as I talk about New York, I talk about the Muslim proliferation in all of these places where, and I even went to Germany, right? I played a video where in Germany, there was a man who was a Jewish man who lives in Germany. This is 2026, Jinky Baby. This is 2026. In Germany, a Jewish man was afraid to walk to the bus stop with his hair. You know, the Jews, they wear their hair on the side and they wear different things to recognize that they're Jewish. In the background, what you see, Jinky Baby, this is Sunday, June 28th, Dearborn, Michigan. And this is the biggest population outside of America. And they out here in Dearborn, Michigan, shouting Shia Muslims. Now, in my reports, Jinky Baby, what I have done with my audience, you know what I feel is criminal in America right now? They want to teach critical race theory, but what I said is more Americans need to know what a Shia Muslim is. I said critical race theory, slavery 400 years ago. The Democrats want you to focus on slavery. I don't want you to focus on slavery. I understand the history of America. I think it's more critical for American children to learn the difference between a Shia and a Sunni Muslim so we can understand what jihad is, right? What these religious zealots really believe. This is in Dearborn, Michigan. This is in Dearborn, Michigan. This is not... It says Shia Muslims marched on Sunday, June 28th, in the annual Ashura process in Dearborn that recalls the leaders' fight for justice, linking it to current struggles. What's a Shia Muslim? See, this is the thing I think we should...
Peace be upon you, O Abu Abdullah. Peace be upon you, O Abu Abdullah.
So they're talking about Allah, peace be upon you. These are jihadist Muslims who believe in the death of America. I don't know why they live in America, but I think it would be better critical race theory to teach American children the difference between a Shia and a Sunni Muslim. Shout out to Jinky Baby. Shout out to Jinky Baby. Shout out, because people don't understand what's going on in America. People truly don't understand what's going on in America. They don't. But this is Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump being received in Turkey like a king. This is Donald Trump being received in Turkey like a king, just like the reception he received in Japan, just like the reception he received in Japan. This is they are laying out the blue carpet. They are laying out the blue carpet. Double tap, hit the like button. They are laying out the blue carpet. And Trump is going to the NATO summit to demand more money from, we have Spain being a free rider. We have Macron refusing. We have Denmark refusing to ally with us on Greenland. There was so much to discuss. So much to unpack. I'm so excited about what's going on in America. America first. America first all day. Donald Trump, shocking. Trump just lifted sanctions on Turkey. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it right now, because this is what we want to talk about. What was discussed at the meeting? What's the big dog talking points? Donald Trump lifts sanctions on Turkey. Let's start it off from the beginning. Let's start it off hot and fast. What was discussed at the NATO summit?
I can tell you, we're going to be taking the sanctions off. Okay.
Breaking news. Donald Trump lifts the sanctions on Turkey. First thing out the box. I'm coming to you live from the Ankara summit, NATO summit. First thing out the box, sanctions are lifted on Turkey. You got to ask yourself why. I say there is a power shift in the Middle East.
I can tell you, we're going to be taking the sanctions off. Okay? I don't want him to waste his time answering that question, because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, a very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bessent.
Rubio Vance 2028.
We're going to be taking the sanctions off. It's time to do that. Okay?
Breaking news, President Trump, Marco Rubio, JD Vance, sanctions being lifted off of Turkey. Double tap it. This is same with China. This is the same with China. The success story never stops. The winning never stops. It was the same. People thought we had a conflict with China. Come to find out, Trump and Xi Jinping are friends. Trump and Xi Jinping know each other. Trump and Xi Jinping want to work together for the betterment. Trump has a son that's 18. He has grandchildren. Xi Jinping has grandchildren. Trump and China, Trump and Xi Jinping are going to work together for the benefit of the future of the entire globe. You don't hear that from Democrats. Democrats want to separate you like it's not a global community. Democrats want to say gay, lesbian, black, white, all these different things. This is a global community. Trump is a billionaire who builds hotels and casinos all over the globe. He knows these people. He was friends. Him and Xi Jinping went for walks and talks. They made concessions. Trump didn't even let the Turkey leader answer the question. Trump answered for him. Trump said, we're removing the sanctions. I don't even want him to discuss it because me and Marco Rubio already made up our mind. I want to let him know right now to put his heart at rest. We are removing the sanctions on Turkey. Breaking news. Double tap the like button. Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, NATO summit. Double tap the like button as you come in. Let's talk about it in the chat.
I can tell you, we're going to be taking the sanctions off. Okay? I don't want him to waste his time answering that question, because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio.
See what I said? I said Trump didn't even let him answer the question. Trump said, I'm taking the sanctions off. Listen again. Trump said, I'm taking the sanctions off. I don't even want him to answer that question. That lets you know who's running the show. Who is the big dog? Double tap the like button. King Trump. Hashtag King Trump. King of the garden.
Because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, a very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bessent. Okay? I don't get the sanctions off. Okay? I don't want him to waste his time answering that question, because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, a very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bessent, and with Pete and everybody else. We're going to be taking the sanctions off. It's time to do that. Okay?
Breaking
want to sanction
news.
friends. It's
Say that again, Trump.
very simple.
Hold on. Let me say that again, Trump. Listen,
We don't
everybody.
want to sanction friends. It's very simple.
You don't sanction friends. Didn't I say this with Xi Jinping in China? What we came to find out is Trump had a relationship with Xi Jinping that Obama didn't have, that Biden didn't have, that came from the business world, because these men understand business, leadership, and boss movements. And Trump just said, first thing, breaking news, NATO summit, we are lifting the sanctions on Turkey. And then he reiterated by saying, you do not put sanctions on friends. Double tap at the like button. NATO is shifting. Power is shifting. You're watching the #1 podcast for this news.
Okay? We don't want to sanction friends. It's very simple.
We don't want to sanction friends. We don't want to sanction friends. It's very simple. Ankara, Turkey, NATO summit. Some of the key things being discussed is the lack of NATO not giving us access to bases, NATO refusing access to Greenland, NATO not giving its fair share monetarily. Put in the chat, do you believe NATO gives its fair share, i.e. Italy, Spain, UK, EU, France? Are they contributing fairly? Think about how long we've been in Ukraine. Think about how many billions America spent in Ukraine. Think about Hillary Clinton recently at the Munich Security Council saying we need to give the Ukraine more Tomahawk missiles. How many Tomahawk missiles have we spent in the Ukraine? How many hundreds of billions of dollars have we spent in the Ukraine? Has Europe matched our efforts to help protect them? Let me know your opinion in the chat. This is the reception in Ankara, Turkey today.
Right thing for the United States in these meetings and pull no punches with the things the United States need, whether that's in the Strait of Hormuz or even longer term in Europe itself.
So if we're looking to get something done, the president likes deals. Like it or not, the president is less enthusiastic about Ukraine than he is more enthusiastic about finishing off Iran. So if the European leaders know that and our allies know that, could there be some horse trading going on? Like, you know, we give the Ukrainians the ability to make their own patriots, give them the licenses in exchange for some type of escort when it comes to the Strait?
Brian, that'd be a great outcome. I don't even see that as a trade. I think that's I think you'd agree with me. That's a win-win for everybody. That's a win for the United States and Europe. That's a win for the United States and the Middle East as well.
Mr. Secretary, you may not have a screen in front of you, but the president is getting ready to arrive right here, step out of the bees. But this was a
right thing for the United States in these meetings and pull no punches with the things the United States need, whether that's in the Strait of Hormuz.
So big talks going on at the NATO summit. And it's because Europe and NATO allies have not been there. They have not been there in the fight in Iran. They have not been there monetarily. Tell me what you think in the chat. President Trump just obliterated NATO, basically calling them freeloaders. I have talked about Spain being a free rider. We brought up a map of the percentages of what countries and how much they pay into NATO. Spain hasn't paid in. Italy doesn't pay in. There's a lot of countries that we support, that we keep safe, who do not pay into NATO monetarily. They don't have armies to help support us. And then when we invaded Iran, they refused to give us access to bases. They refused to work with us on Greenland. Donald Trump responds to NATO and their lack of support in our Iran conflict. Double tap at the like button.
Troop drawdowns in Europe likely? And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have
Well,
made?
we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO.
Me too.
And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended.
Wow.
I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us. And they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the prime minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we helped them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down.
Everybody
Okay.
turned us down. Nobody was there. Annie in the chat. You seem to be having some disagreement. What is their disagreement? Because I can't have you messing up the flow of the show. What is your disagreement? We're having a talk today, an intelligent conversation about NATO, about Iran and Trump. It is true that NATO did not support America in Iran. Do you believe that NATO was correct for not supporting America? They did not give us access to bases. They held back on Greenland, and they do not participate monetarily to the point that Trump is satisfied. So what is your pushback? What I need to know your pushback. Do you believe NATO contributes enough money? Do you believe NATO contributes enough? I need to know from you in the chat. What is the issue with Trump and the negotiations? What I would like to focus on is that Trump said because NATO did not support, he didn't even want to go to the meeting. The only reason America is at the meeting is because of Turkey and the shift and the power shift in the Middle East. And Turkey now is the power broker for the Middle East. Have you seen the changes to the Abraham Accords? Listen again to Trump as eviscerate NATO. Double tap hit the like button.
Troop drawdowns in Europe likely? And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have
Well,
made?
we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended.
He said, I wouldn't have attended if it wasn't in Turkey with a very strong leader. This is Trump in America signaling to the world who has the strength, who has the power in the Middle East. Now, remember what I said to you yesterday about the funeral. Remember, we talked about Ayatollah Khomeini's funeral yesterday, and the new Ayatollah did not show up. The son, it hasn't been seen for 4 months. Ever since we killed the father, we have not seen or heard the son. Only letters. No one has even heard his voice. No one has seen him. I said this was a miscalculation by Iran. Yesterday, the world was looking at Iran. That was an opportunity for Iran to say to the world, this is our new leader. We are strong. Our new leader is strong. We are resolving, and the future of Iran is going to be bright. They did not do that. You did not see a brand new leader. You did not see brand new leadership. You did not see a new direction from Iran yesterday. Now you couple that with this today. Iran failed yesterday. Iran missed the opportunity on the global stage to show us their new leader. CNN keeps saying Iran won. Then why didn't Iran present a winning side yesterday? Look at how Turkey received Trump today. These are winners. Why didn't Iran present a winning image yesterday? That was the perfect opportunity. Iran will never get an opportunity like that with all of the world's eyes on them to see, do you have a leader? Do you have leadership? What is the future of Iran? What is the future of the IRGC? They missed the opportunity. So what did Trump do today? What does Trump do today? After Iran fails to present their leader, Trump goes to Turkey. Knowing that NATO failed us, Trump goes to Turkey, and then Trump says, the only reason I came is to let the whole world know that the leader of Turkey is the new power broker in the Middle East. Double tap hit the like button. Donald Trump just said the only reason I came to this summit is because Turkey's leader is the powerful person in the Middle East. Double tap hit the like button.
I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. but before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking.
Can we have that talk? Can we have that talk? Because a lot of people say, why did we go to Iran? Who got us into Iran? Now can we have the talk about how and why we're in a conflict in the Ukraine? And is Europe, Britain, and NATO giving their fair share? Trump just said we've given trillions to NATO. Just in the last administration, Joe Biden passed a bill for over $200 billion. I always rounded up to $300 billion in the Ukrainian conflict. How much money do we have to spend protecting Europe? Well, you know what I said to my audience? That there has been a romance. There has been a European-American romance, and that romance is over. The love affair that America had with Princess Di, Queen Elizabeth, the monarchy, Blue Bloods, Skull and Bones, Yale, Harvard, that romance, right? My parents were born in Europe, right? Blue blood Americans. That romance is gone. That romance has died. America's love affair with the monarchy in Europe is no more. So now America wants ROI. ROI. Can I get ROI in the chat? America wants ROI. What is our return on our investment, Europe? This is very simple. What is our return? We've spent trillions protecting Europe. Now, the world has changed. Trump just said, we understand Europe has a fear of Russia. What I continue to say every day is America no longer has a fear of Russia. And we are going to tell Europe, Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, when they become president, are going to tell Europe, you're going to have to deal with the Russia problem on your own. That's what's coming because you did not support us and you did not participate monetarily in NATO. This Russia issue is not an American issue. I understand why you don't want Russia to proliferate. It's in your back door. And you had us as an ally, but you didn't treat us as an ally. Double tap, hit the like button. Donald Trump eviscerating NATO. Donald Trump taking NATO to task in Ankara, Turkey.
Asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us. And they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the prime minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing.
We'll help after the war is over. We'll help after the war is over. And this is the first time you've heard some of this. You've only heard from MAGA media. You've only heard MAGA say these horrible things about NATO. I have done the research. I have pointed out the failures of NATO. The president has been very presidential, very professional, and this is the first time a lot of the American people has heard these opinions out of the president's mouth about NATO and how he feels about NATO's failure. This is the first time. Please listen. This is brand new today. This is breaking news. President Trump was just in America yesterday. He just got on a plane yesterday. He just arrived today in Turkey. This is a very important NATO summit. This is dictating the future of the Middle East. Keep in mind that UAE left OPEC. Keep in mind that Russia just did a major bombing campaign in Kiev. Is everybody really paying attention to geopolitics? Do you know what happened over the 4th of July weekend with the Russia-Ukraine conflict? Russia just bombed the hell out of Kiev. Let me bring that up. Russia bombs Ukraine over the holiday weekend. 1 day ago, I got 1 day ago, 20 hours ago, Russia struck Kiev heavily. These talks are not a light thing. This is to help stop the killing and dying. Russia targeted the Ukraine capital with overnight drone and missile strikes. This is July 6, 2026. This is days before the summit in Turkey. Russia just unloaded on the capital city of the Ukraine, and 30,000 Ukrainians died last month, 25,000 the month before that. Look at this news report. This is breaking news. Several resident buildings were destroyed.
Зараз не знаю, ну, скоріше за все, що там перебувають. Ну, там бабуся жила, вона вряд чи вона спускала. І це і сім'я ще була з маленькою дитиною. Я не знаю, невже вони обучать, я не знаю.
If you're wondering why these meetings are so important, if you're wondering why these meetings in Turkey, why getting a good understanding with NATO is so important, this is July 6th. This is just the other day. Russia bombed Kiev heavily, domestic. This is talking about women, children, apartment buildings. Russia just bombed the capital just a day ago. So these talks in Turkey are very, very important.
Ще одне, є знов дані розвідки про те, що росіяни готують новий масований удар. Це в дусі Путіна одразу після Дня Незалежності Америки і перед самітом НАТО в Анкарі. Росія хоче додати зла і вбити людей. Будь ласка, бережіть себе, зважайте на сигнали повітряної тривоги.
It will be discussed at this week's NATO summit in Ankara. I repeat, this is the #1 podcast on YouTube. Why am I showing you this? To give you context. We can't have an intelligent debate without context. This will be discussed at the NATO summit in Ankara. What? The ongoing conflict and killing. Russia is advancing. The conflict in the Ukraine is getting worse. How many people knew that Russia is advancing? Just to give context, ladies and gentlemen, I got to give you context about what's going on, because a lot of people don't know why what Trump is saying is so important, why these meetings are so important in Turkey, why this NATO summit is so important. People might say, well, why are we meeting? Why is NATO having this? They don't understand that the conflict in the Ukraine, so we have the Iran conflict where Europe did not support us with the bases. They did not support us with Greenland. Then we have the Russia conflict that is expanding. Russia is taking more and more of the Ukraine territory. Now, we've already been in peace talks with Russia. You know what Putin has said? Putin is not willing to give up any territory that he has gained during this fight, because it's cost him blood, it's cost him money. So what do you say to Putin? He has a nuclear arsenal, and he did spend a lot of money and soldiers and blood acquiring this land. He's not giving up the Donbass. What if he goes all the way to the capital? The Ukraine could have had a deal 2 years ago. Russia would not be this far into Europe if it was not for Zelensky, Macron, and Starmer stalling and not working with Trump. But now Russia is bombing the capital of Ukraine, and Putin has said, I'm not giving shit back. Tag, no takebacks. Putin has said no takebacks. I'm not giving back the Donbass. I'm not giving back any land that we acquired during the conflict. Europe is in trouble. That's why these meetings are so important.
The war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we helped them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And
Correct.
Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay.
It's okay.
But, you know, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've
Wow.
always been there for them.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Hundreds of billions of dollars. Biden, hundreds of billions of dollars. But Joe Biden was vice president when the shit all started. Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma. How many people remember going back, way back, far back in the time, 2014, when Barack Obama and Joe Biden was running the country, and Barack Obama put Joe Biden in charge of the Ukraine. At the time, the president of the Ukraine was friends with Putin. We didn't have to fear any conflict or nuclear problem. But the Democrats and the Europeans had eyes on designs on being able to conquer, I don't know really what the Europeans and the Democrats wanted to do. But they got Kamala Harris to go to the Munich Security Council and cross a red line. Putin had said for years, the red line is the Ukraine could never be part of NATO. This all happened under the Biden administration. It is so important that this all happened under Biden's leadership and Kamala Harris' lack of leadership. Putin said, red line, Ukraine could never be part of NATO. And I'll be good. I'll be a good boy. I'll be a good boy as long as Ukraine never is part of NATO. What did Kamala, the black Wakanda, you're black? I don't know if she's black. Is she black? Is she not black? If she want to be black, she could be black. I don't care. Is she the border czar? That's all we wanted to know. Are you the border czar? I don't care if you're black. Are you the border czar? Kamala Harris goes to the Munich Security Council and she says the Ukraine has a right and a desire to be part of NATO. The next thing you know, Putin starts bombing. Kamala and Biden are directly responsible for the Ukraine war and all of those deaths because they purposely, with Macron and Starmer, crossed the red line that they know Putin said, if you try to get NATO in Ukraine, if you try to get NATO in the Ukraine, that is a red line. I will invade. Now let's talk about it. Why would Putin create that red line? Why is that a red line for Putin? Why was the Ukraine being part of NATO such a big deal for Putin? Anybody know? Anybody know? Well, is she? I don't know. Is she the border czar? Is she the border czar? Did she fall out of a coconut tree? Is she black? I don't know. But is she the border czar? Because she wasn't running the border and she was in the Munich Security Council worried about the Russian-Ukrainian border when her job was to worry about the Mexican-American border. Her job was to worry about the Mexican-American border. Instead, she's in Munich, Germany, stalking up fucking war speech with the fucking Russian-Ukrainian border. And y'all want to know if she's black. I don't give a fuck if she's black. I don't give a fuck if she's black. You wasn't doing your damn job. You weren't doing your damn job. Roman says I'm brainwashed badly. Okay, Roman, I bet you Roman don't even know about the Munich Security Councils. Roman, who was at this year's Munich Security Council? Please tell me something, Roman. Huh? Diablo sausage. What do you know about the Munich Security Councils? Do you know anything about the Munich Security Council? Have you read the speeches? I've actually read what Kamala Harris said in Germany. All of you are asleep. I don't hear anything. See, whenever you call them out, hey, Roman, don't run. Roman, don't run. Tell us about the Munich Security Councils. Tell us about your opinion on Kamala Harris' speech in Germany and how that affected the Ukraine conflict. Let's not just let them run. Let's not just let them run. Speak to it. Speak to it. Speak on it. They can't speak on it. They can't speak on it. Hillary Clinton was in Germany this year. Hillary Clinton is not in office. Hillary Clinton is not in office. Why is Hillary Clinton at the Munich Security Councils? Hillary Clinton is still trying to stoke war. She's not even a goddamn elected official. She should be prosecuted. but Hillary Clinton is in Germany saying we need to give the Ukraine Tomahawk missiles. Why is this happening? Because of idiots like Diablo Sausage and idiots like Roman. Why is Hillary Clinton having a voice in Munich, Germany on geopolitical global conflict when she's not elected and nobody wanted her to be president? It's just like Kamala Harris. Please shut up, Hillary Clinton. Please shut up, Roman. Please shut up, Diablo Sausage. Please shut up, all of you sausage factory eating. If you want to know why, that's why. Hillary Clinton should not be in Germany in the Munich Security Councils in 2026. She's 80 years old, and she has been told by the American people over and over again, we don't want you as a leader. But yet and still, she has a voice in global conflict, and she's trying to get us deeper into a war with the nuclear power. And I'm just saying, if you're wondering how shit gets this far, it's idiots like Diablo Sausage and the other idiot in the chat. Because intellectual people will say, even if you don't like Hillary Clinton, you know what the baseline is? Hillary, you're not an elected official. You should not be at the German Munich Security Councils at the very least. I'm not on his side. I'm not on Trump's side, but it is true. Hillary Clinton, you are not an elected official. You shouldn't be there. But she's there because we have these idiots. Shout out to Apocalyptic 1776. TDS is a mental illness. Shout out to Apocalyptic. This is why Hillary Clinton is at the Munich Security Councils. This is why there is still a conflict in the Russia-Ukraine. This is why. And then when I talk about it, instead of listening and getting the education so you can speak intelligently about the issue, you just brain fart on your TDS. But the truth is, Apocalyptic, they don't know. They don't know about the Munich Security Councils. When I bring up Davos, the room goes quiet. When I bring up Davos, the room goes quiet, right? Everybody wants to talk about Trump making billions in crypto, but when I bring up Davos, the room goes quiet. Why is that? Why when we bring up Davos, the room goes quiet? Because they don't really know about geopolitics. What they do is they listen to Rachel Maddow and The View and a couple of sound bites, and then they think they know something about geopolitics. But when I bring up the things that actually are the key factors of how we've gotten here, none of the people who hate Trump actually have listened to the Munich Security Council. They don't know about Davos. They just hate Trump because he's white. And I get it, because yesterday we talked about hate and how people who hate are lazy intellectuals. You don't have a good reason for disliking Trump. You can't articulate an intelligent argument for why you dislike Trump. You hate Trump because you're lazy intellectually. Let's get back to Turkey, the 2026 Ankara, and Trump giving us some insight that we have never heard before, but MAGA has always speculated. Double tap at the like button.
Iran. But they've been very instrumental, along with a couple of other countries, of helping. They could have gotten into the fight. You know, I hear some people saying about their relationship with Israel. They could have gotten into the fight. They're a very powerful military nation. They didn't do that. Maybe they didn't do that because of me. But they could have gotten into the fight on the other side. They are a nation that's been very, very good. And I can speak for myself as president. They've been extraordinary in many ways with respect to our relationship, including trying to end the war with Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization.
Correct.
That's really what it is, of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either. I'm pretty sure of that. In fact, I'm totally sure of that. So, but when they buy a product from us, whether it's a plane or anything else, when it's time for maintenance, I think don't we have an obligation to help them? What are we going to do? Say, we're not going to let you use the product that you spent a lot of money in buying?
Donald Trump and Ankara, Turkey, NATO summit. Donald Trump and Ankara summit. Trump reveals despite Turkey's poor relationship with Israel, they likely refuse to get involved in the Iran war because of the 47th strength. They could have gotten into the fight. You know, I hear some people saying about their relationship with Israel. Double tap hit the like button. Donald Trump said Turkey is an ally and a friend, and he is thanking them for not getting into the Iran war. They had a right to get in the Iran conflict on the side of Iran, and they didn't. Just like China. Trump is amazing. Trump is doing it again. China gets over 50% of their oil from the Straits of Hormuz. They had a right to intervene in the Iran conflict on behalf of Iran. They didn't. They gave Trump the room to do what he needed to do. Turkey could have and should have intervened on the side of Iran. They didn't. They sided with Trump and gave him the room to do what he needed to do. Double tap hit the like button for the best president in your lifetime.
Iran. But they've been very instrumental, along with a couple of other countries, of helping. They could have gotten into the fight.
Correct.
You know, I hear some people saying about their relationship with Israel. They could have gotten into the fight. They're a very powerful military nation. They didn't do that. Maybe they didn't do that because of me, but they could have gotten into the fight on the other side. They are a nation that's been very, very good, and I can speak for myself as president. They've been extraordinary in many ways with respect to our relationship, including trying to end the war with Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really what it is, of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either.
Breaking news, Trump said it's not a war, it's a denuclearization. Double tap hit the like button. Trump said it's not a war. It's not a war. It's not a war. It's a conflict. Or it's not even a conflict. It's a denuclearization. That's it. My name is Donald Trump. Yes, it is. I'm Donald Trump, and it's not a war. I just told you it's not a war. I'm winning bigly. Bigly, we win. It's not a war. It's a denuclearization. He doesn't want them to have a nuclear weapon either. Double tap hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Double tap hit the like button. It's not a war. It's not a war. Breaking news. Iran is not a war. You heard it first here at Purchase My Podcast. You got to hit the like button and subscribe. #1 podcast on YouTube for domestic and geopolitical debate. We do this every day at 1 p.m. Politics. Double tap hit the like button and subscribe. Hit the super chat. Hit the gift. Hit it all. Hit. Fight. USA.
The war with Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really what it is, of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either. I'm pretty sure of that.
It's really a denuclearization. It's not a war. It's really not a war. My name is Trump.
In fact, I'm totally sure of that. So when they buy a product from us, whether it's a plane or anything else, when it's time for maintenance, I think don't we have an obligation to help them? What are we going to do? Say we're not going to let you use the product that you spent a lot of money in buying?
Double tap, hit the like button. That was hilarious. Travis said, "Are you wearing your sister's glasses?" Greatest president of my lifetime. Greatest president of my lifetime. Double tap hit the like button. Double tap hit the like button. Greatest president of my lifetime and your lifetime too. Double tap, hit the like button. Double tap. We coming to you live. We're coming to you live from Ankara 2026 summit. NATO summit. Trump is revealing some things
But they've been very
that MAGA already knew about how we felt about the lack of support from NATO. Now Trump is voicing it. He's lifted sanctions on Turkey, and he's coming out saying how he feels about the lack of support during the Iran conflict with NATO. Double tap it.
The other thing I'd like to say, because
Bibi Netanyahu, Israel Prime Minister, double tap, latest on this conflict from Bibi Netanyahu. Double tap hit the like button, everybody. We're giving you the breaking news here. Perfect Time Podcast.
on the verge of the president's going to Turkey. Look, Turkey is a great country, but it's governed by a man who calls openly for the annihilation of Israel. He occupies half of Cyprus, a NATO country. He's threatening Greece, another NATO country. And he talks openly about conquering Jerusalem. His foreign minister, his number two, said that the Jewish state hasn't a place among humanity. Basically, it has to be wiped out. His interior minister, said he looks forward to be the governor of Jerusalem. Well, for a regime infected by the Muslim Brotherhood, an extreme movement that hates America and chants death to America from that side of the spectrum, I don't think they should be given F-35s or the engines for their fighter jets, because that'll upset the power balance in the Middle East, which is ultimately guaranteed by Israeli air superiority and also by, I think, by America's posture in the Middle East.
What do you think? You know, for a long time, thank you to Rick Miller, 1974. Rick Miller, 1974, you 1 year older than me. Shout out to you, Rick Miller. Shout out to you, Rick, baby. Rick, you don't have to hit the like button. I just want to say thank you for your comment. Thank you for being here. If you choose to hit the like button, that's cool. I mean, it's America, man. It's a free country. If you choose to hit the like button, I will say thank you. If you don't hit the like button, it's okay, bro. I still love you. You're American. You're a good brother. 1974, you were born in a good year. Shout out to you, brother, man. You don't have to hit the like button if you don't want to. You have a freedom. You know, YouTube is a great platform. A lot of times when I start, I say, thank you, YouTube. I want to say thank you to you, Rick Miller. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comment. You don't have to hit the like button if you don't want to. A lot of times people have said that Bibi Netanyahu and the Israel and the Jews are the people who hoodwinked us and convinced us to go to Iran. But if you look and you listen to this report, it kind of debunks that. But I've debunked that theory many, many times over. I talked about it. When was the last time Trump told Bibi Netanyahu in Lebanon? When we first got the ceasefire, that's when people, but it was more signs before that Israel was not behind the invasion in Iran. There were a lot of, what I said initially, and a lot of people who study geopolitics said that America was using Israel as cover. And I think Bibi Netanyahu always knew that, and Bibi was okay. Bibi was okay with America propaganda and Trump and Pete Hegseth using Israel as cover to invade Iran. We were always going to invade Iran. Us invading Iran had nothing to do with the Israel state and nothing to do with Bibi Netanyahu and what he wanted, right? Bibi Netanyahu had designs to invade Iran going back to the 12-day war. When Trump first got elected, he dropped those 2 bombs on Iran, the largest bombs underneath the nuclear bomb. We were always going to, when we went to Venezuela and captured Maduro, the whole discussion today in Turkey, when Trump brings up Greenland, if you understand the 4D chess, Trump went to Venezuela first. Then he went to NATO to get support because he was always going to invade Iran. And he wanted Greenland to protect us and NATO during the Iranian invasion. The reason Europe said no to Greenland is because they knew Trump had designs on the Straits of Hormuz. They knew Trump had designs on the Straits of Hormuz. So they turned us down for Greenland. But this had nothing to do with Israel. I say again, I've always argued that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth used Bibi Netanyahu in the Israel conflict as cover to invade Iran. And Trump, when Trump was in the Straits, he was stealing oil from Iran. He was positioning America with OPEC. It had nothing to do with Israel. And now we see again. Now we hear about it in Lebanon. Trump tells Bibi to back off in Lebanon. What's important about Lebanon is that Bibi actually was correct about Lebanon and the Islamic terrorists, because a lot of people don't look at maps. But if you look at a map and you look at Israel and Lebanon, they border each other. So Israel, in their efforts in Lebanon, was warranted. But Trump stopped Bibi in Lebanon. And I always said, this is the biggest indicator. This is the biggest indicator that what we're doing in Iran has little to do with what Israel wants. Today, again, I'm going to play it again so you understand. Today, again, as you listen to Bibi, Trump just talked about Turkey and their relationship or lack of relationship with Israel. Now, when you listen to Bibi and then you see Trump sitting down and saying, we're lifting the sanctions. Trump is lifting the sanctions on Turkey. How many people truly understand the relationship between Turkey and Israel and what it means that America is lifting the sanctions on Turkey? I don't think this is a Judeo-Christian country. Israel is our ally. I don't think people understand the severity of what's going on in Turkey because they're blinded by their TDS. They're blinded. Let's listen again to Bibi. And I know these are complex issues. These are complex issues, but what I am saying to you that what you've been told is a hoax. Just like the Russia hoax, it was an Israel hoax.
The other thing I'd like to say, because we're on the verge of the president's going to Turkey, look, Turkey is a great country, but it's governed by a man who calls openly for the annihilation of Israel. He occupies half of Cyprus, a NATO country. He's threatening Greece, another NATO country, and he talks openly about conquering Jerusalem. His foreign minister, his number two, said that the Jewish state hasn't a place among humanity. Basically, it has to be wiped out. His interior minister, said he looks forward to be the governor of Jerusalem. Well, for a regime infected by the Muslim Brotherhood, an extreme movement that hates America and chants death to America from that side of the spectrum, I don't think they should be given F-35s or the engines for their fighter jets, because that'll upset the power balance in the Middle East, which is ultimately guaranteed by Israeli air superiority and also by, I think, by America's posture in the Middle East.
So what do you think in the chat? What do you think in the chat? Do you want to focus on specifics of the F-35 deal? What do y'all know about the F-35 deal? What do y'all know about the F-35 deal? Should Turkey get F-35s from the United States? What do y'all think of the F-35 deal? What do you think about what Bibi just said? Bibi said Turkey is part of the Muslim Brotherhood and they shout death to the United States. Okay, listen to the context. During a high-level bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the Ankara summit, President Trump announced that the U.S. will remove countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act CAA-TSA measures imposed on Turkey in 2020 following its acquisition of the Russian S-400 missile defense system, declaring, "We do not sanction friends. The administration is positioning Turkey as much more loyal than other countries, explicitly trying the policy shift to operational cooperation on NATO's southern and eastern flanks." Abraham Accords. Everybody in the chat, go look up the changes Trump has made recently to the Abraham Accords. With the U.S.-Israel conflict against Iran escalating and a regional proxy network unstable, the U.S. needs reliable, uninhibited military infrastructure. Dropping sanctions and repairing ties with Erdoğan secures critical airspace and base access, such as in Surik Air Base directly bordering the conflict zone. It shifts the security anchor away from uncooperative Western European hubs and cements Turkey as a frontline coordinator. Abraham Accords. Abraham Accords. Unpending the F-35 consortium and defense hardware pipeline. The reality, Turkey was completely removed from the F-35 Joint Stake Fighter program and blocked from receiving 5 aircraft it had already financed. Same thing in China. Do you guys remember? Same thing in China with the Boeing jets and the chips from NVIDIA. What were the NVIDIA chips that China had already made a deal for, and then China wanted access to the software, AI software from Google? After the meeting, I don't know if you guys watch this type of stuff, but China just got a supercomputer that's faster than America after the meeting. Access to the F-35 program, freeing up jet engine manufacturing pipelines, immediately bolsters Turkey independent defense capabilities. This moves the burden of regional air security off of U.S. taxpayers and places it directly onto a highly capable regional ally. This is all about the brand new Abraham Accords. Double tap, hit the like button. How many of you know about the brand new changes Trump made to the Abraham
other thing I'd like
Accords,
to say,
which shifts which shifts the priority of security in the region to the people in the region. Mr. President, are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey? As we just discussed about the F-35s, let's go to President Trump about allowing Turkey back into the program that will allow them to get the F-35s that they already paid for, and if they will be able to get future F-35s and help us keep the region safe. Double tap at the like button. You're watching the #1 podcast on YouTube. We're coming live from Turkey. I'm coming to you live from Turkey. This is a NATO summit happening today. Breaking news, Trump has lifted the sanctions. And now we're talking about whether or not Turkey will be allowed back in the F-35 program. Double tap at the like button.
Mr. President, are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey, and what about the legal restrictions?
It's a decision we're going to make. We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So, yeah, something certainly we would consider. It's a great plane. It's the best, currently the best plane by far. And it's certainly something we will consider, yeah.
Mr. President, are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey, and what about the legal restrictions?
It's a decision we're going to make. We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So, yeah, something certainly we would consider. It's a great plane. It's the best, currently the best plane by far. And it's certainly something we will consider, yeah.
Mr. President, are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey, and what about the legal restrictions?
So Turkey's getting the F-35s. Turkey's getting the F-35s. Trump said, I was very disappointed with NATO, and frankly, if it wasn't held in Turkey, he wouldn't be here. Elon Musk has called for the deportation, and They always try to put in some shit. A young woman in Turkey attacked by a Muslim woman on the street for wearing a short skirt. This is happening in America. This is happening in America. I said this is happening in the Mall of America. There was a white woman. This is happening in Europe. This is happening in Minnesota. I said, y'all remember the employee, the white woman? She might have got fired in the Mall of America. That's Minnesota. Twin Cities, Mall of America. There were two Somalian Muslim, Shia Muslim men harassing the woman for her dress. This happens in Europe. I told you, in Germany in 2026, Jewish people hide the fact that they're Jewish because they will be harassed by Muslims. I showed you a picture of the Mall of America. Let me see. I'll bring it up while I play this. Mall of America, full of Mall of America. So let's look at this video. A woman is harassed. A woman is harassed for her dress. She got a short skirt on. Look, the Muslim woman with the hijab and 3/4 of cloth comes up to her. And look, pulling on her. Look, everybody can see this. Pulling on her. Look, looking at her skirt, harassing her. Why is she dressed like this? Can y'all see this? This is happening. This is a global phenomenon. Look at this. Look at this. Violently pushing this girl. She can wear whatever she wants to wear. Look at the Muslim woman. Did you see this? This is not a unique situation. This is happening in New York. I showed you video. This happens in New York. This happens in the Mall of America in Minnesota. This happens in America. This is happening in Germany. When you see Tommy, Charlie Kirk's friends, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, in the Brexit movement, and you see that protest in Brexit, that was just a week or two ago. How many people know about Belfast? How many people know about the stabbing that occurred in Belfast and the subsequent riots that happened for days, where 12 Muslim houses were burned down? An Islamic immigrant in Belfast tried to stab a native person. White people getting stabbed for being white in Scotland and in Europe. This is the reality. You can't walk around and be white anymore because Muslims have said they are waging a jihad on anybody who is not Muslim and not following the Shia principle. They're instituting Sharia law in Minnesota, in Dearborn, Michigan, in New York under Zarani the Morani Mandani, in Germany. While you're hiring your TDS, this is what's happening in the Mall of America. Let's go to the Mall of America. Let's go to the Mall of America, because people think this is unique. Now, keep in mind, these individuals, supposedly 80% of them are on welfare. I don't know why they filled up the mall. I don't know why and how they filled up the mall if 80% of them are on welfare. But this is not Iran. You guys, this is not a Muslim. This is the Mall of America, right? This is the Mall of America. This is the Mall of America. This is Minnesota, Minneapolis, $19 billion fraud. Not one white face. Not one white face. Not one white face. $19 billion fraud. We just saw Ilhan Omar, $30 billion. Ilhan Omar married a white male. Ilhan Omar married a brother. Feeding Our Future, they just said that one of the guys from the Feeding Our Future fraud ran to Somalia. I just did that story like 2 days ago. One of the people who helped steal the 19 billion fled to Somalia. How did he get out the country? I don't know. But this is what it looks like. It looks like Somalia in America. This is Somalia in America. If you want to know where the $19 billion went, here it is. It went to the mall. They all spending your taxpayer dollars. They got welfare money. But this is not, I'm not just showing you just to show you what it looks like in America. I'm showing you this because of how they treat people, right? I'm showing you this because of how they treat people. And I'm showing you this because of remind you of how that white woman was treated in the Mall of America. And then I showed you this video. Now let's go back to this video. As you look at that video of the Mall of America, and I say to you, white women are being harassed in that mall just like this. Because you might not have believed me, but here is a Muslim woman in the mall harassing an Asian girl for having on a miniskirt. She's not white, she's not black, she's not Arab. This is an Asian girl being harassed by a Muslim woman for her dress. And then it gets violent and physical. What I want to explain to you is the same thing has been happening in America, in American malls, in New York. Look at this. Look at this. While you were asleep. I should change the name of the podcast to While You Were Sleeping. We should change the name of the podcast to While You Were Sleeping, because while America was drunk off their TDS, sleep and drunk off their TDS, this is what was happening in America. This is what was happening in America. While you were sleeping.
This is the Mall of America in Minnesota. And it's not very American.
It's all Somalis. The women are in hen dresses. The men are in traditional garb. And if one thing you'll notice, everyone has multiple kids.
Strollers and kids.
There's a white guy, one of them.
He's looking like, what the fuck happened? That's a great scout for them. They laugh at us when they see each other at the Mall of America, and they're like, brother, inshallah, we're doing it.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
And we did find a mall in Mogadishu, and it looks exactly the same as the Mall of America.
This is the Mogadishu Mall. And
said, the Mall of America looks exactly like the Mall of Mogadishu.
And we did find a mall in Mogadishu, and it looks exactly the same as the Mall of America.
This is the Mogadishu Mall, and the people are the same. They're just in a different country. You look at all these people hanging out in the mall, approximately 54% of Somalis in Minnesota live below the federal poverty line, suggesting significant reliance on public assistance programs. You're a white person at the Mall of America, and you see all these Somalis with their kids being raised with your government money. The U.S. taxpayer is raising these Somali children.
Didn't I just say that? Who is this? Shout out to Felicus Talks. Y'all go subscribe to them. Oh, man. Y'all go subscribe to them. Go subscribe to them. Shout out to them. Shout out. Didn't I just say that? He just read the report that I just said to you. Over 50% of the Somalians are on welfare. What they doing in the mall? Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? Over 50% of the Somalians is on welfare. What they doing in the mall? I don't know what they doing in the mall. They harassing people. They're harassing people for their dress and their garb. That's what they doing in the mall. So double tap at the like button, man. Double tap. Just giving context to what we talking about today, man. Because these are serious things going on. Secretary of State Marco Rubio just mic dropped Belgium, and every leftist complaining that FIFA overturned the red card suspension for U.S. Balgoon. If you're Belgium, why would you want to play a game and win a match and then win this match and then everyone will, blah, blah, blah. Let's listen to Marco Rubio talk about the Trump card versus the red card. Trump card versus the red card. Go watch my podcast from yesterday. Double tap at the like button. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss no content, so you don't miss nothing that we present here on the #1 podcast on YouTube for politics, baby. Vance Rubio 2028. Vance Rubio 2028 in the chat.
You want to ask me about FIFA? Yeah, look. It was a bad decision. They shouldn't even be reviewing these things on slow motion, right? It should be reviewed in live action. I think it was the right decision to reverse it. And if you're Belgium, why would you want to play a game and win a match, and then you win this match, and then everyone will argue you didn't really win it because their leading scorer was not on the pitch during the match. So it's kind of unusual because generally speaking, I mean, if you're playing, you want the other side to be at its best so that your victory is not tainted in that way. So I think it was the right decision. Obviously, there's a lot of drama around it and so forth. But I think it was the right decision to reverse it because that decision initially, from everyone I've heard, I'm not an expert, you know, I don't claim to be an expert on soccer, but from everyone I've heard that knows about this, they all say that, you know, the guy's head wasn't even looking down. It wasn't like he knew where he was stepping. It was, so look, maybe it's turning into an international incident. I don't know. Maybe we'll bring it up at NATO tomorrow, or we're there with the Belgians and everybody else. But I just hope the match will go on. Everyone will be at full strength, and the winner will be the winner. And if it's Belgium, they have a very good team. You know, they'll move on and they can say they beat the U.S. at full strength at home, and that would be a big victory, like what you saw the UK do last night, you know, on the road in Mexico in a very tough environment. So.
Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Vance 2028. Vance Rubio 2028 in the chat. Vance Rubio 2028 in the chat. Double tap hit the like button. Double tap hit the like button. Get the likes up, everybody. Double tap hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe. Get the gifts. Get the gifts going. Get everything going right now. Double tap at the like button, everybody. Double tap at the like button, everybody. Get the likes up. Get the likes going. Get the likes up. Woo! Clean them up. Perfect. Clean them up. Perfect. Clean them up. Perfect. Clean them up. Perfect. So, Rob 222. Rob thought he would have some support in the chat. Rob 222. I told you a lot of these guys are old white men who be coming in. I told you they old white men who small micro penises that don't work. Rob, you thought you had some friends and everybody's gone. I deleted them all. So here you are all by yourself, Rob, with your stupid ass comment in your happy white face. Let's have a talk with Rob, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a talk with Rob. Dude, I would never vote for a fascist like that. This is America. We are a democracy. What the hell are you thinking? Who's a fascist, Rob? You? Who's a fascist? They don't even know the definition of these words. These old white men with these small micro penises that don't work. Did you take your Cialis before you made the comment, Rob? You need some Cialis, some Viagra. What's wrong with you, Robbie, baby? Rob, you out here all by yourself. I'm all alone. I'm all alone with my cuck micro penis. What will I do? Oh, man. So if you want to know about a democracy is what happened just a year and a half ago when people chose Trump instead of Kamala Harris. Remember, Kamala, is she black? I don't know if she's black, but was she the border czar? See, it was important if she was the border czar or not. It wasn't so important that she was black, but she thought it was important that she was black. She thought it was important that she was a woman, but then they lost. So first, let's get this right, Rob. If you want to talk about democracy, if we want to talk about democracy and fascism, well, first you had a senile 80-year-old man attempting to run for president again and be in the White House for a total of 16 years. See, this is the thing that people like you never think about. How long was Biden in the White House? Not just how long was he in office. Joe Biden helped the Clintons with the crime bill in 1993. How old is Joe Biden? Old, older than his birthday. Joe Biden has been in politics going back to the 70s, over 50 years, but you want to have a no kings rally and you want to make a feckless comment about democracy. Let's talk about democracy. Ro Khanna beat the S&P 500 by over 145%. Ro Khanna, Democrat representative, is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Nancy Pelosi is worth $400 million. Nancy Pelosi, her stock investments beat the S&P 500. Did you know about democracy? Ro Khanna's stock investments beat Nancy Pelosi. How can you be better than Nancy Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi is better than the S&P 500. Ro Khanna is 135% better than Nancy Pelosi. Just talking about democracy. We're just talking about democracy, $400 million. Tim Walz knew about the $19 billion fraud. A judge stopped payments to the fraudulent Somalians. Tim Walz, as governor, came in over the judge and said, what, ladies and gentlemen? Continue the payments. Continue the payments. Continue. Why would Democrats in Minnesota, knowing it was fraudulent after being caught and found guilty in a court, want to continue fraudulent payments to Somali daycares? Anybody got the answer? I do. Anybody got that? Tom Homan does. Department of Homeland Security knows. Does anybody? Al-Shabaab, the richest Muslim terrorist group in the globe. Al-Shabaab knows. Al-Shabaab knows why Tim Walz continued the payments. Anybody know where Al-Shabaab is located? I do. Al-Shabaab is located in Somalia. If we're talking about democracy, Ilhan Omar, father, can't find his paperwork on whether or not he's a citizen. Ilhan Omar shouldn't even be in the Congress. Ilhan Omar married her brother to get him into the country, which is illegal. That's democracy from your perspective. Ilhan Omar is now married to a white man. Ilhan Omar is married to a white man like you and worth $30 million, but tells black Americans that white men are evil while she rides white penis. If we're talking about democracy, AOC is married to a white man. as she tells brown and black Americans to hate white people. She's riding a white penis. If we're talking about democracy, Hakeem Jeffries, the leader, the minority leader, if you know what that is, it's not minority because he's black. Hakeem Jeffries, minority leader of the House, not minority because he's black, minority because the Republicans are in the majority. If we're talking about democracy, Hakeem Jeffries has been warned by the brand new democratic socialist communist left that he is next. You're next. You're next. You're next. If we're talking about democracy, I just want to talk about it too. Can I talk about democracy too? Can we talk? I want to talk about democracy too. Hakeem, can we talk about the socialist and communist left? Is that democracy? Huh? Is the socialist, do you know 13 Democrats came out and had to separate themselves and say, I love America, I'm not a socialist? That's democracy. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Just I'm black. Black people have a low IQ. Don't listen to me. Let's go back to the videos. Don't listen to all of my facts. Black people don't know much. I have a low IQ. You obviously know a lot more than I do. You obviously know a lot more than I do. 3 hours later. 3 hours later. We are in Turkey. Trump is having a meeting with Turkey leader. He has lifted the sanctions. He has granted them F-35s. Let's keep going, ladies and gentlemen. Double tap at the like button. #1 podcast on YouTube.
I can tell you, we're going to be taking the sanctions off. Okay? I don't want him to waste his time answering that question because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, a very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bessent and with Pete and everybody else. We're going to be taking the sanctions off. It's time to do that. Okay? We don't want to sanction friends. It's very simple. There's plenty of people we can sanction, and we are sanctioned. We don't want to sanction friends. And because of the president, you know, we have a very good relationship with the new leader of Syria, and he's done an amazing job. In a year and a half, he's pulled the whole country together. I can tell you, we're going to be taking the sanctions off. Okay? I don't want him to waste his time answering that question because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, a very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bessent and with Pete and everybody else. We're going to be taking the sanctions off. It's time to do that. Okay? We don't want to sanction friends. It's very simple. There's plenty of people we can sanction, and we are sanctioned. We don't want to sanction friends. And because of the president, you know, we have a very good relationship with the new leader of Syria, and he's done an amazing job. In a year and a half, he's pulled the whole country together. I can tell you, we're going to be
Double tap at the like button, man. We're coming to you live from Ankara, Turkey, NATO summit. Coming to you live from Ankara, Turkey, live NATO summit. Double tap at the like button. We giving to you, this is a map. What is this here? Big Russia frontline neighbors are officially entering a war footing, pumping and unprecedented billions into concrete and combat gear to turn NATO's eastern flank into unbreachable wall. People were joking about a wall in the chat. Here's a visual of that right there. Double tap. They better do something because they're not going to get American money no more. Erdoğan gone clutches and wandering Trump's arm to guide him around. Double tap, hit the like button. President Erdoğan welcomes Trump in Turkey. Let's take a look at Trump being welcomed like a king. Double tap at the like button.
Told the Iranian leaders, whoever they are, I'm staying out of this.
Right.
And then they rocketed Turkey a couple of times. So now they said, and they've said some negative things about the Turkish leader at the Ayatollah's funeral, the never-ending funeral he's on. So they said something negative about Turkey. So he kind of risked that alliance for the president.
Let's listen in to this.
He just stopped briefly. It's hard to hear what he said, but our producers will let us know if they're able to make that out. To your point about Russia, tonight a special dinner invitation extended.
Told the Iranian leaders, whoever they are, I'm staying out of this.
Right.
And then they rocketed Turkey a couple of times. So now they said, and they've said some negative things about the Turkish leader at the Ayatollah's funeral, the never-ending funeral he's on. So they said something negative about Turkey. So he kind of risked that alliance for the president.
Let's listen in to this.
He just stopped briefly. It's hard to hear what he said, but our producers will let us know if they're able to make that out. To your point about Russia, tonight a special dinner invitation extended.
Told the Iranian leaders, whoever they are.
So Trump out here doing his diplomatic 1-2. We getting diplomatic money. Epic moment. Air Force One wheels down with President Trump aboard in Turkey for the NATO summit. Double tap, hit the like button. Trump arriving in Turkey. Trump Air Force One touching down for the NATO summit in Ankara. Trump arriving in Turkey for NATO summit in Ankara, just like a boss, just like a boss, just like a presidential boss. Double tap, hit the like button. So as we watch this arrival, let's go over a couple talking points. So I created some talking points for you guys. Let's go over what's some of the key takeaways from the meeting from today. Let's go over some of the key takeaways from the meeting today. Defense spending and targets. Demanding a massive 5% GDP spending floor, leveraging the U.S. owned $901 billion, 3.3 GDP baseline. Counter argument pointed to a 20%. NATO has a counter argument to Trump and MAGA saying you're not paying your fair share. NATO pointed to a 20% surge in defense spending across European nations and Canada as evidence of major good faith burden sharing. Do you believe NATO is paying their fair share? Again, another victory for MAGA and Trump as far as defense spending and targets, effectively forced European allies into a defense scramble, forcing them to explicitly defend their budget trajectories and outline concrete implementation plans to the administration. This is what's been going on over here with Trump. Double tap, hit the like button. Victory highlighted systemic continent-wide military-industrial expansion and a new multi-billion-dollar push for advanced tech, drone training, and private investment. Middle East strategy and Iran stance views Iran's collapsing regional leverage as an absolute priority, demands full unconditional base access and overflight rights from allies. This is America, Trump, and MAGA stance. These are the talking points at the NATO summit in Turkey. We view Iran's collapsing regional leverage as an absolute priority, and we are demanding from NATO full unconditional access to the bases and overflight rights from allies. NATO is saying it insists on keeping the alliance primary operational focus tethered to the territory defense and Russia's ongoing threat to the eastern flank. How many times have I said, this is the conflict? This is the conflict. This has been the separation. This has been the breaking point for NATO. This is where we separate. This is where we break. This is the breakdown. Because America has said we are no longer vested in Europeans' fear of Russia's proliferation. And we understand it, we get it, but we are no longer financially, emotionally, and physically vested in Europeans' fear of Russia and Putin. It just doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't exist anymore. We've told Europe they need to make a deal, make friends with Putin, or nuclearize themselves. The opinion of the Americans, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, President Trump, is that they need to defend themselves, militarize themselves, in the future. In the future. And without that, they're going to be on their own. And that's why we're in Turkey building. That's why we're in Turkey building. You know what? I actually like that. I actually like that. MAGA, I like that. Black MAGA in the building. Black MAGA in the building, and I like the mustache, the porn stash. Black MAGA in the building. Can I get a hashtag for Black MAGA in the building? Double tap at the like button for Black MAGA in the building. Double tap at the like button. Black MAGA in the building. Black Republicans, Black conservative media. Double tap, hit the like button, get the likes up, get the subscribes up, get everything up. Some of the white boys in the chat will not be able to get it up. Double tap, hit the like button, man. Some of the white boys in the chat won't be able to get it up, even with their Cialis. You know what I'm saying? Even with their Cialis. This is a cuck filled chat right now. Put your hand up if you're a cuck. Put your hand up if you're a cuck. Double tap hit the like button. Did you know Turkey was the first Muslim majority country to recognize Israel in 1949? Today, Turkey and Israel often criticize each other over wars, regional security, and future of the Middle East. But here's the surprising part. They weren't always rivals. How many people knew that? Let's get a quick history lesson. #1 podcast on YouTube. This is where you get this good education, man. Every day at 1 p.m. Like, share, and subscribe, man. Perfect Time Podcast, #1 podcast on YouTube. Let's go, MAGA!
Today, Turkey and Israel often criticize each other over wars, regional security, and the future of the Middle East. But here's the surprising part. They weren't always rivals. In fact, for decades, they were close partners, working together on defense, intelligence, and trade. So what changed? The story began in 1949, when Turkey became the first Muslim-majority country to recognize Israel. During the Cold War, the two countries found common interests. Turkey was a NATO member with close ties to the West, while Israel was looking for reliable regional partners. Over the years, they expanded military cooperation, shared intelligence, increased trade, and welcomed millions of tourists between the two countries. Relations began to cool in the 2000s as Turkey's foreign policy changed under President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. One major turning point came in 2010, when Israeli commandos boarded the Mavi Marmara, a Turkish-led aid ship attempting to reach Gaza. The raid left 10 activists dead and triggered one of the biggest diplomatic crises between the two countries. Although relations later improved for a time, repeated conflicts involving Gaza continued to strain the partnership. Today, the relationship is shaped by disagreements over Gaza, Iran, Syria, and regional security. Turkey has strongly criticized Israel's military operations in Gaza, while Israel has raised concerns about Turkey's support for Hamas, which Israel, the United States, and the European Union designate as a terrorist organization. Despite political tensions, the two countries remain important regional powers whose actions affect the wider Middle East. A relationship that once centered on military cooperation and shared strategic interests has become one of the Middle East's most closely watched rivalries. The question now is, could Turkey and Israel rebuild their partnership one day, or has that chapter of history already come to an end?
That's an excellent question. How many people think that Turkey has the ability? Trump is there now. Maybe if Bibi, maybe if they get a different leader in Israel, this is a possibility. How many people knew that? It's the same thing in Iran, where you used to have Catholics, you used to have Christians, you used to have Jews in Iran under the Shah. When Ayatollah came in the IRGC, over 2 or 3 million Catholics, Christians, and Jews left Iran. But there used to be a melting pot in Iran. So I believe there's a bright future on the horizon, thanks to Donald Trump and the Republicans, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, 2028. Let's keep going with this beautiful update today. Trump is doing great things.
Turkey and Israel often.
Trump is doing great things in Turkey right now. 2 tankers were struck in the Straits of Hormuz right as President Trump arrived in Turkey. No casualties reported so far. New audio emerges of Iran threatening ships in the vital waterway. Double tap, hit the like button. I am breaking news right now. Looks like something happened as soon as Trump arrived. I think Trump touched down at like 3 o'clock that time. Double tap at the like button. It's saying that as soon as Trump touched down, Iran did strikes. Now, I'm not surprised how many people were watching the funeral yesterday. How many people were watching the funeral yesterday? Double tap hit the like button. Y'all get them super chats. Y'all get them gifts going, man. Double tap hit the like button. Y'all get them super chats. Y'all get them gifts going. How many people seen the funeral yesterday? At the funeral yesterday, they were chanting death to America. They were talking about jihad at the funeral yesterday. How many people were watching the funeral yesterday? So I'm not surprised at these strikes. I'm not surprised at these strikes. Let's get this breaking news right now to the chat.
Yet again, another reported tanker strike in the Strait of Hormuz. We think 2 have been struck. It might be more, but we'll hang on to 2 for the moment. A tanker struck by an unknown projectile trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, another one made a U-turn and turned around. No casualties reported. Vessels are being advised to transit with caution. Meanwhile, from Fox Business, they've obtained audio of an Iranian threatening the ships in the strait, and here is how that sounded in English.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use the south of Laraka'iland to exit. If you disobey, you will be targeted. This is the Navy out.
Okay, Rebecca Heinrichs now, senior fellow. Yet again, another reported tanker strike in the Strait of Hormuz. We think 2 have been struck. It might be more, but we'll hang on.
So this is the map of the Straits of Hormuz. We got 2 tankers struck. I don't know how long this ceasefire is going to last. I told you my opinion, you guys. I have argued that we should hold off negotiations until 2027. Now, I don't believe they deserve I don't believe that we're negotiating with anybody. And that was evident from the funeral yesterday. There is no leadership in Iran. And so I think what we're seeing is what happens when the virus dies out. Double tap at the like button.
The biggest challenge, the biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless, feckless, and defeatist words of congressional Democrats and some Republicans 2 months in.
That's right.
I remind you, 2 months in to a conflict. Lest I remind you, and my generation understands how long we were in Iraq, how long we were in Afghanistan,
20 years,
how long we were in Vietnam. 2 months in on an existential fight for the safety of the American people, Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb. We are proud of this undertaking. The biggest challenge.
Pete Hegseth, Department of War. On this channel, we call it Pete Heggie, baby. That's my brother from another mother, Pete Hegseth. Pete Heggie, baby. Shout out to you, bro. And I agree with everything he said. This is President Trump strikes against Iran tonight are being described as punishment not proportional. After the mullahs violated the MOU and struck vessels in the Straits of Hormuz, CNN citing U.S. official 47 is safe at his hotel tonight in Turkey and made his clear not afraid to unleash regardless of where he is. So I believe there is retaliation. So I just played a video. So as we have discussed the brand new we have Iran strikes and we also have America responding to the Iran strikes. So let's go to America. So I just played a video that Iran bombed 2 tankers in the Straits of Hormuz despite the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding. But this is right after the funeral. We've been talking about this funeral. This funeral is supposed to go on for days, weeks, and they don't want to negotiate during the funeral. I said let them have their funeral all the way to 2027. That's what I said. You gotta have your funeral to 2027. We don't want to negotiate with you anyway, because I don't believe they have a leader. So let's go to Trump retaliating. He's in his hotel. He's safe. He's in Turkey, and he has retaliated against Iran for the strikes and breaking the MOU. Double tap at the like button. #1 podcast on YouTube.
Iran because of these strikes on commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz that happened yesterday. It seemed at that point that that was the only kind of retaliation that they were going to do until just about 15 minutes ago when CENTCOM announced that they were launching these strikes in Iran as another form of retaliation for striking those vessels. Here's what they posted on X. They said, U.S. Central Command forces have begun launching a series of powerful strikes against Iran to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial shipping crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway. The U.S. strikes are in response to Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's demonstrated aggression was unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire. Now, I do want to get to the NATO of it all in 1 second, but just a quick reminder that part of the deal in the memorandum of understanding for the ceasefire, the 60-day negotiating period, was that in exchange for the lifting of the sanctions as well as the removal of the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran would help the safe passage for these commercial vessels.
Y'all with me? Y'all with me? Double tap at the like button. So Donald Trump has responded because Iran
because of these strikes
strike some vessels, and I don't know about this MOU. I say we don't have an MOU. I say we don't negotiate. I say we don't even think about negotiating until 2027.
For the moment. A tanker struck by an unknown projectile trying to again, another reported tanker strike in the Strait of Hormuz. We think 2 have been struck. It might be more, but we'll hang on to 2 for the moment. A tanker struck by an unknown projectile trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, another one made a U-turn and turned around. No casualties reported. Vessels are being advised to transit with caution. Meanwhile, from Fox Business, they've obtained audio of an Iranian threatening the ships in the strait, and here is how that sounded in English.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use the south of Florida Island to exit. If you disobey, you will be targeted.
Again,
so like I said, there is no leadership in Iran. It sounds like piracy. How many people agree with me? It's, to me, let's listen to that again. It sounds like piracy. I don't believe there is leaders, generals, admirals, a clear chain of command. This sounds like piracy, and they trying to extort people for money. So there is a lot of empathizers to Iran, and they want to say they're charging a toll. As I listen to this, it now illuminates what's really going on. They've lost control of the military. I told you they can't pay the soldiers. So what happens in lieu that you can't pay your soldiers? I told you about the 400% inflation. I told you about the state loaf. I told you about the wheat in Russia. I told you about the supply chains. I told you about the bakeries closing, the lack of flour. So what happens when you can't pay the soldiers? Piracy. Piracy.
Again, another reported tanker strike in the Strait of Hormuz. We think 2 have been struck. It might be more, but we'll hang on to 2 for the moment. A tanker struck by an unknown projectile trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, another one made a U-turn and turned around. No casualties reported. Vessels are being advised to transit with caution. Meanwhile, from Fox Business, they've obtained audio of an Iranian threatening the ships in the strait, and here is how that sounded in English.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use the south of Florida Island to exit.
This is a pirate. This is a pirate. This is not military. This is a pirate. How many of y'all hear this with me? This is a pirate. These are carjackers. These are soldiers who have not been paid, who are turning criminal in order to get money and food for their family and children. See, no one is being honest to you about the inflation, the famine, the starvation that's occurring in the bread lines. That's already been occurring before we invaded in February 28th. Let me tell you something. Before February 28th, when America invaded, Iran was dealing with severe inflation and food shortages. How many people were aware of the hyperinflation and food shortages to where Iranian government had to create a state loaf? Rich people could no longer afford bread. So even before February 28th, when we invaded, Iran had instituted a state loaf. I grew up, we had Rob, 1974. How many people grew up in the 80s? Well, we had free bread and cheese lines because there was a high level of poverty from the 70s and mothers couldn't afford food. So the government created government cheese. It used to be a joke. People would tease you for eating government cheese and the government bread. It was a welfare line for free bread and cheese. How many people grew up with that? Before we invaded Iran, because of hyperinflation, Iran had to institute a bread line. This was before February 28th, going back to the 12-day war when Trump dropped the 2 bombs on Iran again with Israel. We never talk about this. We leave that out of the context all the time. We leave the 12-day war, but it's okay. I'll let them leave the 12-day war out. But if you bring it in, you have to talk about the hyperinflation that has been in Iran for some time now. The reason why I want to give a history, an origin, and a baseline to the starvation, the famine, and the inflation is because I want you to factor in February 28th, 2026. And then what happened to the bread lines, the wheat, the flour, after February. Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, Scott already said Iranian soldiers are not being paid. Iranians, they just had a funeral with 7 coffins, little baby coffins. They just had a funeral with 7 coffins. There is no Iranian leader. And well before February 28th, they were dealing with and you know what, bro? This ain't the first time. I have friends who live in America who told me about hyperinflation. When we were dealing with inflation under Biden, I have friends from Iran telling me, hey man, this ain't nothing. We had inflation in Iran. So Iran has been plagued with these financial problems ever since the IRGC took over. You don't know this because the Democrats want you to go back to sleep and say, leave, let Iran do whatever they do. You don't know what's really been happening in the interior. 42,000 Iranians have been unalived by the IRGC. The Kurds are oppressed. Christians are oppressed. Jews, Catholics are oppressed under the IRGC and the Ayatollah regime. No one talks about it. And then what happened is the IRGC, to remain powerful, they spent the money on missiles. Remember I told you about Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis? They gave Hezbollah over 100,000 ballistic missiles. They gave Hezbollah $700 million a year. They gave Hamas $300 million. They gave Houthis drones and missile technology to take over the Red Sea. Iran has been proliferating violence via these proxies for years. So Iran's priority has not been in infrastructure. Now, why is this important? I explained to you that Iran gets the majority of its wheat from Russia. How many people understand these things about this conflict? Iran gets the majority of its wheat from Russia. There's been a problem since February 28th. I needed you to understand my baseline. I already established the baseline that before February 28th, we have an Iranian state loaf. We have 135% inflation and 400% inflation in other areas where wealthy people can't afford bread, which is why they instituted a state loaf. I established that baseline so that now I can bring you to February 28th when we invade and we bomb Iran, and then we obliterate the supply chain, and then the ability from Russia to get the wheat into the Iran is no longer viable. And even when the chat room said they can go through the Red Sea, from our research, the Red Sea is not viable. So what is occurring on the ground right now today that no one talks about is Iran cannot feed its people. They can't get the wheat from Russia. They never were able to grow enough food to feed everybody. This is why the Straits of Hormuz was so important. It's a water-based economy. They need the straits to trade. They never grew enough food to feed everybody. They never did. They needed Russia's wheat. Now listen to this. They are Muslim. They eat halal. How many people are familiar with halal? So the infrastructure was thus. They took wheat from Russia, but then they milled it themselves in factories in Iran to create halal flour to make the halal bread. You guys, just like kosher. Remember the famous, one of my favorite Seinfelds was what's the name of that bread that Elaine, and he tried to get the brown, and I always wanted that bread. It looked so good, that Jewish bakery. So in Iran, they have halal. So they get the wheat from Russia, but they mill the wheat themselves into flour in Iran, in Iranian factories. Those factories were bombed by Trump. There are no more Iranian factories. The factories have been shut down. So you have a supply chain issue. But wait, you already had inflation to where the state had to create a state loaf. So I am giving you a compounded issue that the CNN, who is inside Iran, I don't know why they don't tell you about these bread lines. This is a compounded issue. On top of the inflation, on top of the wheat, on top of the supply chains, the processing plants have been shut down. So even if they had the wheat, they don't have the ability to process the wheat into halal flour to make the halal bread. So children are starving. Soldiers are not being paid. And there are food lines with women and children in Iran. So when I say let's not negotiate, I said let's not negotiate until 2027. But the reason I'm giving you this baseline, the reason I'm sharing my insight with you is when I want you to listen, now that I've explained to you what's going on the actual ground in Iran. Now that I've explained to you the hyperinflation, the lack of food and resource. Now listen to what I hear a pirate. Now that you know about how much is going, I hear a pirate. Listen to this. I'm telling you that the soldiers have become pirates in order to feed their families. They're robbing these boats in the strait. Listen.
Again, another reported tanker strike in the Strait of Hormuz. We think 2 have been struck. It might be more, but we'll hang on to 2 for the moment. A tanker struck by an unknown projectile trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, another one made a U-turn and turned around. No casualties reported. Vessels are being advised to transit with caution. Meanwhile, from Fox Business, they've obtained audio of an Iranian threatening the ships in the strait, and here is how that sounded in English.
Listen to this.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use the south of Florida Island to exit. If you disobey, you will be targeted.
I say that's
another reported tanker strike in the
I
Strait
say that's a pirate. I say that's a pirate. That does not sound like a military operation. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be, none of those negative things. I am telling you, based on my research and this does not sound like a military person. It just doesn't sound military at all. It sounds like piracy. When he tells them, pull over, go to this section, they're going to rob them. I believe these people have turned into pirates.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger.
That sounds like somebody that's robbing you. That sounds like somebody that's robbing you. He doesn't come on and say, this is General so-and-so from the army of the supreme leader, IRGC. I don't hear that. Did you hear that? They always do that. That's what they do. This is General so-and-so, Allah Akbar Akbar, representing the Ayatollah supreme leader. In the name of Iran and the Ayatollah, you must pull over your ship. I didn't hear none of that. It didn't. Did you hear military? Did you hear IRGC, Muslim Islamic military? I didn't. I didn't hear that. I did not hear you have crossed into the Allah's realm of the supreme leader. You have broken the rules of the supreme leader of Allah. I represent Ayatollah. I am General Hakbar. I am General Hakbar. And you must turn your ship around in the name of Allah. You must turn your ship around in the name of Allah. All praises be his name. Listen again. This is a pirate.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use the south of Florida Island.
This, he not from the military. He's not from the military. He's not from the military. He's not from the military. Straight up. Allah Akbar. My name is General Ahmed Hussein. You must pull over in the name of Almighty Allah. In the name of Iran. He doesn't say any of those things. He doesn't call out Allah. He doesn't call out Iran. He doesn't call out the supreme leader. He wants them to pull over. This is a robbery. And the white people on Fox, I'm a conservative Republican. I love my Fox affiliate, but the white people on Fox, you too nice. You missed this whole thing. The white people on Fox, you missed it. The soldiers in Iran have not been paid. Remember what the secretary said. Scott said The soldiers in Iran have not been paid. They, in my opinion, when I hear this, have resorted to piracy in order to get money and food for their families. I did not hear a soldier. Soldiers use call signs. Soldiers use rank. Soldiers use policy and procedure. If this was a soldier, we would know the soldier's name, we would know the soldier's rank, and we would know the policy and procedure in which this ship broke, and he would have explained, because they're very intelligent and very professional. My name is Lieutenant blah, 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 from the Iranian blah, blah, blah. You have broken section blah, blah, blah. Because you have broken, we are bombing and boarding you if you do not pull over in the name of Allah. If you do not pull over in the name of Allah. You don't hear any of those things. If this was a soldier, we would know the soldier's name and rank, and he would have been very professional. He still would have killed and boarded the vessel, but they are always professional. You have broken a ceasefire. We are boarding your ship in the name of Allah. If you do not pull over in the name of Allah, Supreme Leader, IRGC, we will board your ship. That is not the language. Let's listen to it again. It is not the language. This is the language of a pirate.
You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use the south of Laracoin to exit. If you disobey, you will be targeted.
This is a criminal. This is a pirate. He does not identify himself, his rank, his affiliation, his country, his religion. Everything they do isn't in the name of the Supreme Leader, is in the name of Allah. Everything you do is in the name of the Supreme Leader, in the name of Allah. I do not hear a soldier.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use.
This is a pirate. Donald Trump has won. Donald Trump has won. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know how else to put it. That's a pirate. That's a pirate. They have lost. They have lost. That's a pirate. They have lost and they have turned to piracy. That is not a soldier of the IRGC. You will not convince me that that is a soldier of the IRGC. He may have been a soldier of the IRGC, but he does not affiliate with the IRGC, because you did not hear that. Double tap hit the like button. Iran strikes ships in the Straits of Hormuz as Trump touches down for a NATO summit in Turkey, Ankara. Double tap hit the like button. This is breaking news. Iran strikes 2 tankers.
Fox News alert, CENTCOM confirming that the U.S. military conducted a new series of powerful airstrikes on Iran for attacking commercial shipping. Let's go to Mark Meredith in Turkey. Mark?
Greg, good morning to you. The president is at his hotel for the evening. Is now after midnight, but the latest news we are getting is from U.S. Central Command that they are launching new strikes against Iran, basically in retaliation.
So what I reported to you, just the last video we just watched, was Iran has struck. When Trump landed in Turkey for the NATO summit, Iran bombed 2 tankers in the Straits of Hormuz. The video you're watching now is Trump is in Turkey in a hotel room carrying out war strikes on Iran from a Turkish hotel room with Turkey as our ally. This is unbelievable. This is absolutely, Turkey could have intervened on the side of Iran. Turkey doesn't like Israel. But now our president is safely in a Turkish hotel bombing a Muslim country, Iran. This is like unprecedented. If you pay attention to geopolitics and you understand what I'm teaching you, this is wow. This is a wow moment. Everything about this is a wow moment. Donald Trump is in Turkey, a Muslim country who is opposed to Israel in Jerusalem. right? He's making a deal with that country, even though people think America is in bed with Israel. I just said America is not in bed with Israel. If you ever needed evidence that America is not in bed with Israel, it's today Donald Trump saying we're lifting sanctions on Turkey and we're giving them F-35s. Now, it is the nighttime after the summit where Donald Trump said we're lifting sanctions, we're giving them F-35. Now, Donald Trump is snug as a bug in a rug in his Turkish hotel room, eating Turkish candy and Turkish tea, bombing a fellow neighboring Muslim country because Iran struck 2 ships, and now Trump is responding, even though he's in Turkey. Double tap at the like button.
Fox News alert, CENTCOM confirming that the U.S. military conducted a new series of powerful airstrikes on Iran for attacking commercial shipping. Let's go to Mark Meredith in Turkey. Mark?
Greg, good morning to you. The president is at his hotel for the evening. Is now after midnight, but the latest news we are getting is from U.S. Central Command that they are launching new strikes against Iran, basically in retaliation after Iran had launched 3 different attacks on ships that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz. These were commercial ships as they are trying to get oil, natural gas out of that water from the Persian Gulf into the Gulf of Oman. But the Strait, of course, has been the center point for so much of what's happened since early February, where President Trump said it was imperative that ships would be allowed to move in and out of that area freely. Iran, of course, had contested that, saying that they were going to be the ones deciding who was going to be able to move through that waterway. Now, we don't know whether or not these strikes are completed or if they are going to be ongoing. Iranian state media was reporting a series of explosions in southern Iran, but we'll be looking to get more details from what Central Command has to say or the president's own comments while he's here in Turkey. And I will mention, Greg, oil prices already jumping on the news of what's happening. Another big development, the U.S. revoking a waiver it had just issued to give Iran 60 days to sell its oil. The White House pulling back that release earlier this evening. Greg?
So now, breaking news. I guess the MOU is done. The MOU is done. I don't know. The memorandum of understanding is done. I don't know. I don't think there's a ceasefire. Are we supposed to be in a ceasefire for 60 days? It was just a funeral yesterday. See, I knew there may be a little, and Trump may just see this as a bump in the road. Hey, CW, say that for me, CW, one more time. Everybody in the chat, can I get it? Everybody in the chat, give a shout out to CW. I don't care, guys, CW. Double tap it. CW. Os. Finish the job. Os. CW. Finish the job. Woo. Oh, I love active listener. Oh, I love an active listener. Whoa, that MAGA. Whoa, that MAGA. I love an active listener. I love an active listener. I love an active listener. Double tap hit the like button. #1 podcast on YouTube. #1 podcast on YouTube. The U.S. responds to Iranian strikes. The U.S. responds to Iranian strikes. Hey, I'm blind and I'm dyslexic. Am I saying that right? I said, I'll be, black people give nicknames. It says CW or CW. Is that a CW? I don't know. Y'all let me know. What is it? Is it CW? I said CW because those are the 2 letters that I could read with my blind eye. I can't read the comes after CW. I can't read what comes after CW, but that's why I said CW, because I can't read what comes after CW. It's what happens when you challenge with age. You know what I'm saying? When you challenge by age. But I just want to highlight that comment because that's an active listener right there. There are some trolls and idiots who listen, but there are some intelligent, active intellectuals who listen. And they make the proper connection. As
Fox News alert, CENTCOM.
As Trump touched down in Turkey, Iran struck us. U.S. Central Command is launching new strikes against Iran after 3 Iranian attacks on commercial ships moving through the Strait of Hormuz. The ships are moving oil and natural gas out of the Persian Gulf toward the Gulf of Oman, Iran state media. So again, Iran strike 3 ships now. Some reports say 2 ships. Some reports say 3 ships.
Meredith in Turkey. Mark?
Some reports say 2 ships. Some reports say 3 ships. It's a lot going on right now. So Iran strikes a couple ships, and then America strikes back. And then America strikes back. All while Donald Trump is in a hotel room in Turkey after having a summit with NATO. After having a summit with NATO. This is breaking news. This is breaking news. This is breaking news. I guess the ceasefire is over. I guess the ceasefire is over. Iran, I guess we could say Iran struck first. I don't know how you want to say it. I guess the ceasefire is over. America is bombing Iran right now as we speak, as Donald Trump is in his hotel room in a neighboring Muslim country, which is actually unprecedented for something like this. Actually unprecedented for something like this. This is Bibi Netanyahu again discussing his disagreement with the meeting being held in Turkey.
It said this morning that they are great friends, and not just the two of them, the countries of the United States and Turkey, and that Turkey is perhaps a better ally than other so-called allies. So he is considering giving the country these planes, F-35s.
Well, as I said, it would destroy the power balance in the Middle East because Turkey, I think, has aggressive aspirations. I mean, they openly say that. They want to restore the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire not only included Turkey, it included many other countries, included Syria, it included pieces of Jordan, included all of present-day Israel, included some Gulf countries. So this is not a force for peace and stability. And if you give this kind of radical regime that admittedly smiles to America when it is necessary, or smiles to the president of the United States when it's necessary, when you give him that power, you're going to see aggression in its wake. I wouldn't do that.
I don't know, man. Bibi always trying to stir shit. I don't know, man. But that's why I'm proud of Trump and what he's.
It said this morning that they
and of course, what do you see? You see Bibi on Democratic social media, not standing by his brother Trump. But people think Trump and Bibi in bed together. I said this is evidence again that is not true. Netanyahu tried to move Turkey into the next threat file at the exact moment Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas are being boxed in. Double tap at the like button. Trump in Turkey. Trump in
Okay. I don't want him to waste his time answering. Okay. I don't want him to waste his time answering that question because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, a very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bessent and with Pete and everybody else. We're going to be taking the sanctions off. It's time to do that. Okay? We don't want to sanction friends. It's very simple. There's plenty of people we can sanction, and we are sanctioned. We don't want to sanction friends. Okay?
We don't want to sanction friends. Trump, first thing, lifts the sanctions off of Turkey, and yes, allows Turkey into the F-35 program. Yes, that is true. F-35s allows Turkey into the F-35 program. Double tap, hit the like button. I was giving you some details earlier, so let's go back to that. Views, Iran collapsing regional leverage as an absolute priority. Trump is demanding full unconditional base access and overflight from allies. The allies insist on keeping the alliance primarily operational focused, tethered to territorial defense and Russia ongoing threat on the eastern flank. So Trump is saying he needs access. This is what's being discussed in the NATO meeting right now. And this is a lot going on. We have the NATO meeting and we have Trump responding to the Iranian conflict right now. So he's responding to the Iranian conflict. He's in this NATO meeting and he's telling NATO that we need access to the bases. Now, NATO is saying what MAGA and conservative media outlets like mine have been saying. Starmer and Macron have a different priority than America. It's been blaringly clear and obvious to those of us who understand the geopolitical climate and atmosphere. Starmer, Macron, and Europe have a different political design, have a different political objective than America. I think that only became clear to people, and Trump admitted, he said he was testing people. I played the video today. Trump said with Iran, he was testing Europe. Because it's always been clear to MAGA and conservative media outlets that Europeans have a different goal in mind, and it's not an American goal. Now it has become obvious to everybody when I say and I read to you what is the negotiations happening in Turkey right now. What the negotiations are, America, rightfully so, because we pay trillions of dollars. Now think about this. Think about what I'm teaching you today. It's something that disturbs conservatives to the nines, right? Because we're talking about bases that we pay for and bases that we build. We're talking about a NATO alliance that is nothing without America, American soldiers, American power, American might, and American money. So when we talk about access to these bases, there should be not even a question. And then what we've always said is when we look at Macron and we look at the movements of Starmer, that I've always said their priority is on Putin in Europe, and the focus is Russia, which is why they don't talk about Russia in the Ukraine, is because America got hornswoggled, hoodwinked by Biden, the Democrats, and the Europeans into billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of loss in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. So Europe and Zelensky wants to keep the focus on the Ukraine and Russia. It's not a focus for America. This is the major rift of NATO, and NATO admits it in negotiations today by saying again, and they've said it before, they're focused on Russia in the eastern flank. Okay, so let's keep going with Middle Eastern strategy at the meeting today. Bypass traditional European resistance by holding a highly publicized sideline meeting with Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa to dictate terms in the region. Donald Trump had a victory today. He bypassed traditional European resistance, i.e. NATO, by holding a highly publicized sideline meeting with Syrian President Ahmed Sahara to dictate terms of the region. Successfully kept NATO as an institution out of direct official involvement in the U.S.-led conflict with Iran. So NATO sees today's meeting as a victory. You may hear liberals say the same thing, because what we've learned is that NATO, which is why I keep directing people to the Abraham Accords and the recent changes in the Abraham Accords, and you will understand better what's going on. You will understand better what's going on. You will understand better what's going on. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. So NATO sees it as a victory because they're not committing to helping us with Iran. So when you hear about J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, the Department of War, the USAID closures, don't listen to people say Elon Musk is killing kids. Please don't listen to that. See, because this is the context that you don't get, right? And that's sad, right? Because there are a lot of liberals out there that want to say Elon Musk is bad, Elon Musk, trillionaire bad, white man bad, rich white man bad. But the truth is much more complex than that, right? And they don't want to tell you about these issues when they get into those things about USAID, right? So when we talk about the lack of commitment, the lack of support, why would we spend billions of dollars on their children? So when they say USAID and they say Elon Musk is letting children die, they're not talking about American children. And I'm not trying to be heartless. I'm not trying to be Kanye West. I'm not trying to be heartless. I'm just being honest about these realities that no one talk about. They said Elon Musk is bad for canceling USAID. I agree with the canceling of USAID funding. I don't want to pay for gay dances in Africa. I don't want to pay for LGBTQ proliferation globally. I don't want to pay to protect transgender outside of America who are non-Americans. I don't believe that, right? And now they want to say these are children. The budget just said it was gay pride, gay dances, protect transgender. Now Democrats want to come back and say, no, it's children. Be that as it may, what you don't tell the American people is it's not American children. It's America spending the trillions of dollars that Trump referred to in NATO. It's America paying for everybody else's children. And not only that, but America paying for everybody else's gay children. And Americans overwhelmingly said, I don't want to pay for other countries' gay children. That's why we agreed to cancel USAID. And then when you hear the Europeans consider it a victory to not support us in Iran, how can you get on YouTube or TikTok and say Elon Musk is bad, Trump bad, because we won't fund USAID? Fund it your fucking self. What do you need my money for? Why do you want to pull my heartstrings? Why do you need to make me cry? Why do you want to make me the bad guy? It's not American children. Everybody else in the world can focus on their citizens and their children. Why does America have to focus on everybody else's children while American children starve and die? No, it's America first. Focus on American children. You focus on your own damn children. Don't tell me USAID and Elon Musk killing kids and it's not American kids. Give the proper context. And then tell people when you say that Elon Musk bullshit, tell people that NATO is refusing to pay their fair share and support us in our global campaign. Why should we support a global campaign of LGBT transgender bullshit with our tax dollars if we don't get the ROI? Remember in the chat I said, give me ROI in the chat. They want us to pay for transgender gay rights abroad and globally, but they don't want to give us our ROI. Okay, gay rights, gay dances in Africa, transgender proliferation globally. Where is our ROI, NATO? So don't let them talk about USAID funding without the proper context. Don't let them bring up USAID. Don't let them tell you Elon Musk bad, children dead without the proper context. That's why we in Turkey today. Double tap at the like button. That's why we in Turkey today. That's why we in Turkey today. And I'm reading to you from my research. I'm reading to you from my research. Trump demanded that they work with us, and they considered it a victory that they didn't. They considered it a victory that they didn't. Okay. And the Turkey realignment, values immediate, transactional strategic positioning over legacy European diplomatic protocol, stance maintains long-term skepticism over Turkey's reliability, tracking domestic human rights crackdowns, its independent multipolar foreign policy, victory for Trump, rewarded the Turkey leader strategic alignment by pledging to lift CAA TSA economic sanctions and officially putting Turkey's return to the F-35 jet program back on the table. NATO considered it a victory that it solidified new defense industrial ties with Ankara on sidelines, securing critical supply chain access for European rearmament projects. Troop levels and force presence stance threatens a planned drawdown of U.S. Donald Trump threatened NATO today with a drawdown of U.S. forces from traditional hubs like Germany unless clear, direct, reciprocal agreements are reached. Haven't I been yelling ROI all day? Haven't I been yelling ROI all day? I say draw down the troops. We already drew down 5,000 troops in Germany, right? We already drew down 5,000. The Pentagon is withdrawing 5,000 U.S. troops from Germany over 6 to 12 months. President Trump ordered the move. So that I agree with that right there. President Trump says we are going to see. The Pentagon is planning to withdraw. So that's I agree with that right there. I think we have to do some negotiations. Don't you agree we need to do some negotiations? We're giving up all ass on the first date when it comes to this NATO agreement. We're giving up all ass on the first date when it comes to this NATO agreement. And I think it's time that NATO put up or shut up. What y'all thinking?
Well, we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO.
Are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely? And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have
Well,
made?
we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us, and they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help.
That's right.
We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we help them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And
I said, Trump said he's testing people with the Iran. He's long said that we would help them, but they wouldn't help us. Trump is revealing some things that MAGA and conservative media outlets like this, we've always known. This is the things that I preach every night while you're listening to your liberal purple-haired protester on TikTok who refuse to debate and discuss these principles. We've said this for months now about NATO. Here is Trump echoing the same thing.
Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us, and they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we help them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay. But, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
Are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely? And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have
Well,
made?
we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person. It's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us, and they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I'd long said that we helped them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay. But, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
Are further troop drawdowns in Europe?
Why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars for them and they haven't been there for us? So Trump, to the answer to the question was, are there further troop drawdowns? We've already drew down 5,000 troops. We already drew down 5,000 troops in Germany. And the question is, are there further troop drawdowns? So his answer to the question is he was disappointed in the lack of support, and he was testing them in Iran. And the last thing he said is, to the answer of will there be further drawdowns, he said, well, hey, baby. What's up? Oh, my forehead. You can't see it. Okay. Did y'all see the wasp nest out there? I'm gonna show you. How you doing, princess? How was your day? Good. Can you cut those chicken breasts in half? I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna put the marinade on. Okay.
With NATO, and frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. We've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada.
We invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect you. To protect you. We invested trillions of dollars to protect you. So my wife and my baby just came home. So we gotta go to the next story. I'm gonna get some chicken on the grill to make Taco Tuesday. I also wanted to discuss a couple things. Charlie Kirk, day 2 of the pre-trial with Charlie Kirk, and I wanted to go over that. Candace Owens had put up a couple things that we had seen before. Tyler Robinson lost track of which leg he was limping on. A lot of this stuff is coming up. I don't know if you heard yesterday. I reported.
And again, we're able to track Mr. Robinson when he leaves this parking structure.
Yes, we were able to.
So, and again, we're able to track. So we're able to track.
See him limping up the stairs. You see that? They're saying that's
when
Tyler.
he leaves this parking structure.
They're saying that's Tyler.
Yes, we were able to.
Very different. His leg is bending there, but it's not bending in the other one.
So
can't even bend the leg here.
Mr. Robinson.
Can't even bend the leg there.
When he leaves this parking structure.
Yes, we were able
almost faking it. You can bend the leg there. So I'm just pointing that out. So this is the testimony today in the courtroom, day 2, pre-trial. He bent his leg. This is pathetic. Here we go again. More video. Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk assassination, day 2, pre-trial. You know what was odd to me that I haven't heard talked about? Tyler Robinson has not entered a plea. Has that changed? Yesterday when we talked about this, Tyler Robinson had not yet entered a plea, right? So I don't know what's going on with that. Has that changed? Has that changed? Has Tyler Robinson entered a plea? Does anybody know if Tyler Robinson entered a plea? So this is a pre-trial to see if Tyler Robinson will stand trial, and he hasn't said guilty or not guilty. I think they're just trying to see if the state has enough evidence to even go forward with the trial. And one of the things that we should point out is that they don't even they couldn't get the video admitted. They couldn't get the video admitted. The judge said the video is cannot be cannot be admitted because it's been altered with like red circles and arrows. He said, I can't get this to a judge or an impartial body because you've pointed out things you want them to look at, and then that means they can't look at the picture impartially because you circled things with red circles. Do you have raw footage? And then the prosecution said we don't have the raw footage. So he threw out the video. So a lot of this video that we're reviewing, they compiled it into one video and then altered it. So I don't know how much of the video that we've seen and tore apart will be admitted into court because of the prosecution's faux pas. It just reminds me of going back to the beginning when Charlie was assassinated, the failures of the local police, the failures of TPUSA, the failures of the college.
Same. The images that we have from my viewing and seeing that
There's nothing in his leg right there. There's absolutely nothing in his leg right there. Y'all tell me there's no long gun in his leg. There's nothing in the leg right there. Day 2, Charlie Kirk assassination. Day 2. There's no footage of the shot that killed Charlie Kirk from loose center at UVU by anybody. This is our daily reminder that the federal government hates us and thinks we are retarded. There is no footage of the shot that killed Charlie Kirk. Double tap, hit the like button. It's Candace Owens. You know she's been on this from the beginning. And I'm just showing you some clips that she's highlighted from the Charlie Kirk assassination trial.
Is there any footage of the alleged shooting?
There is not, Judge.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Ms. Nestor, given that additional information and anything further from defense?
No, but I think I'd like to be crystal clear. You asked if there's any portion of this video that captures, and I believe you asked of the actual shooting. There's no video of that. There is video, however, and you've heard testimony related to this, where the shooter goes to the top of the low-C building, goes out to the edge of the building, low crawls, and then leaves after what we assume is the shot being fired. That's as close as it gets.
And the court also recognizes Utah rule of evidence.
How can we call him a shooter? How can we call him the shooter if there's no video of him shooting, right? I think I would have objected. I don't know if we have really good lawyers anymore. I would have objected. How many people agree with me? So first, the question is there video of the shooting of Charlie Kirk? The answer is no. And then in this pre-trial hearing where we're trying to find out if there's enough evidence, he then gets up and says, we have video of the shooter. You don't have video of the shooter. That's misleading to say you have video of the shooter because you don't have video of the shooter. Either you do or you don't have video of the shooter. If you don't have video of the shooter, the subsequent video is someone we have not identified yet as the shooter. Am I correct, chat? Am I correct, chat? You do not have video of the shooter, correct? That means the subsequent video of the person getting away has not been established to be the shooter. Or else you would be able to say he's the shooter, but you don't have video of the shooter. So you cannot establish that it's the same person. Mathematically, methodically, you cannot establish that the person you see running away is the shooter. Why can they not establish that? Because they don't have video of the shooter. Let's listen one more time. It's so simple to me, it's mathematics. It's elementary, dear Watson. It's elementary, dear Watson.
No, but I think
clarify that. Ms. Nestor, given that additional information and of the alleged shooting.
There is not, Judge.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. Ms. Nestor, is there any footage of the alleged shooting?
There is not, Judge.
Okay.
Then that means going forward in the trial, in terminology and referencing any other video, they should not legally be able to reference the person in the video as the shooter. They have not been able to establish who the shooter is. And I thank you, the judge, for asking, are there any videos? And then now let's listen to my conclusion, my methodical analytical conclusion. Listen.
I just want to clarify that. Ms. Nestor, given that additional information and anything further from defense.
No, but I think I'd like to be crystal clear. You asked if there's any portion of this video that captures, I believe you asked of the actual shooting. There's no video of that. There is video, however, and you've heard testimony related to this, where the shooter goes to the top of the low-C building, goes out to the edge of the building, low crawls, and then leaves.
And I argue, how can you establish that that was the shooter? How many people agree or disagree with me? How can he say that's the shooter? I'm disputing that based on the fact that you just said you don't have video of the shooter. So you cannot then point to another video later in the day, I don't care if it's 5 seconds later. If you don't have video of the shooter, you cannot definitively point to a video later in the day and say this is the shooter. How can you establish it's the shooter if you don't have a video of this? It's speculation, and you don't do that in the court of law. How many people agree with me or disagree?
The shooter goes to the top of the low-C building, goes out to the edge of the building, low crawls, and then leaves after what we assume is the shot being fired.
You can't do that in court after you assume what's being fired. We cannot assume. We cannot assume. You have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. Am I wrong? I mean, this sounds like a TikTok thing. This is what happens on TikTok when you be in a debate on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? You can't assume shit. You're a lawyer, an arbitrator of the law, officer of the court. We have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. You can't assume after he just motherfucker said in court in an assassination trial, we assume. Listen to this bullshit.
The building, low crawls, and then leaves after what we assume is the shot being fired.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck? After we assume what the, come on, man.
That's as close as it gets.
And the court also recognizes Utah Rule of Evidence 1102 as that is the foundation that's being laid for the admission of this exhibit. Having taken in consideration all factors, the court rules that Exhibit 12.4 is admitted into evidence and shall be played in the courtroom and may be broadcast by the media.
I think that's bullshit. I think that's bullshit, and it should not be labeled as the shooter. What y'all think in the chat? It should not be labeled as the shooter. He said that we don't got video of the shooter. So how can you say that subsequent video from later in the day is the shooter if you don't know who the shooter is? That's what this whole court case is about, establishing who the shooter is. That's sad, bro. That's sad, bro.
Team, she's the best, right? I mean, she's the best, right? I mean, we're on Team Candace. I got a text message from some lunatic. Charlie, why do you have her still speaking at AmFest? I said, lose my number. Lose my number. Wow. I said, you obviously haven't been through the Tyler remembers, the Charlie Candace thing. Candace is, she's on our team. She's the best, right? I mean, she's the best, right? I mean, we're.
Candace is on our team. She's the best, right? Just debunking. Confirmed Tyler Robinson was 5'10". Tyler Robinson was 5'10" because in the video, 5'10", people are saying in that video that we saw earlier, he's a lot taller. In that video we saw earlier, he's a lot taller. So
while you were on the roof, did you encounter any spent casings?
As a matter of fact, no. That's why when I saw the prone position where the person would be laying down as a sniper, being around guns and snipers all the time, I was looking for a spent shell casing. I couldn't see one. I was looking over the edge, looking all over the place, making sure the gravel wasn't disturbed, and I couldn't find a shell casing at that moment.
And that would be the reason you would be looking for that was because some types of guns, when they shoot, eject a casing automatically, right? Some do, some don't.
Yes.
Right. And then you also didn't find any unshot bullets.
No.
Okay. Are you aware of there being a bullet found on another roof?
I'm not.
Vicinity? Were you aware of another bullet being found on the scene, not on the roof of the Losi building?
I know.
All right, your body cam footage that I reviewed appears to end while you're still on the roof. Do you know why that is?
I think the battery went dead. It was just right at that moment.
Okay. And do you know, did you ever turn it back on that day or go get it, I don't know, what do you have to do, charge it or stick a new battery in it? I don't even know.
Usually dock it, but no, I didn't go back. It was too chaotic running around.
So that 27-minute and 35-second body cam that starts when you're at the Hall of Flags and ends while you're still on the roof, but haven't put the crime tape up yet. That's the only body cam you have that day?
Yes.
wow. So that's a Charlie Kirk update. We're gonna be watching the trial. We're gonna be watching the trial, bringing you updates as they come along. Another big breaking news story today. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Double tap at the like button. Another big breaking news story today is Maine U.S. Senator candidate Graham Planter of Nazi tattoo fame. He has a big old swastika Nazi skull and bones on his chest, but they forgave him for that. Graham Planter is now holding the Democratic Party hostage, refusing to drop out following grape claims unless he gets to choose his successor. Total meltdown mode and an internal war. So Graham Plattner, you guys know Graham Plattner. The Democrats have been defending this guy left and right for the last couple of weeks, saying we don't care that he was a Nazi. We don't care that a Republican woman accused him of sexual improprieties. Today, a liberal woman came out and accused him of sexual improprieties. Now, the difference today is that a liberal woman, because before the liberals said they didn't believe the Republican woman who said what she said about him, they defended him. They said she was a scorned lover. Women said this. Me Too advocates said the woman was a scorned lover. Now today, a liberal woman has come out and said that he sexually did something inappropriate. And now Democrats are asking for the Nazi tattoo wearing, Graham Plattner sexual abusing, graping to step down. Y'all remember Eric Starwell in California, right? He was a congressperson, the #1 runner for governor in California. He was forced to step down too for sexual impropriety. Another Democrat, 5 women came out. Now Graham Planter of swastika Nazi fame has been asked to step down by the Democrats, but he's refusing to step down after now another woman. This is not the first woman. The difference is this woman is a Democrat. The other woman was a Republican, and she wasn't believed by the Democratic media. That says a lot about the Dems. Let's get into it.
Who stood by him through other allegations are now rapidly abandoning him, many of them saying it's time for him to end his campaign. Alexis McAdams is joining us live with all of the fallout from this as that fallout grows by the minute. Alexis, this is just a drip, drip, drip when it comes to Graham Plattner.
Bill, that's right. We talked about it the other day. First, the Nazi tattoo, then the allegations of physical abuse. That wasn't enough for Congressman Ro Khanna, and it still doesn't look like it's enough for Senator Bernie Sanders. We're waiting to see if he pulls his endorsement. Calls for Graham Plattner, though, are growing for him to drop. Even the mayor of New York City just a short time ago, Bill, says this guy has to go after a woman who dated Plattner, her name is Jenny Rakakot, accused him of raping her back in 2021. She told CNN he forced himself on her despite her telling him to stop.
Did Graham Plattner rape you?
By definition, yes.
Who stood by him through other allegations are now rapidly abandoning him, many of them saying it's time for him to end his campaign. Alexis McAdams is joining us live with all.
By definition, yes. I'm not going to go into it. This is not a Me Too debate. I'm not going to go into it. We just going to stick with the fact that Planter is out. Planter is out. I'm not going to go into what we just
I think that his relationship with his wife is his relationship with his wife.
But it's not just the wife. Another mistress is talking. She says she slept with Nipple in 2021 while he was engaged to a woman different than his current.
I think that
they just keep making excuses. Today, all the excuses stop. The shit hits the fan in the Planter man. The shit hits the fan. There's the Nazi tattoo. Shit hits the fan with Planter man.
I pledge resistance to the fascists of the United States of America and to the oligarchy for which they stand, one nation under tyranny, deeply divided, with liberty and justice for none.
I don't know what that means. I mean, people in the chat was talking about that earlier, and I guess it's okay. It sounds like the Democratic Party finally done with Graham Plattner.
Senate hopeful broke into her home and raped her about 5 years ago. Well, that was a dark period. She came forward to Politico, recalling the alleged rape in graphic detail and providing corroboration. And she's done this before. She did this at the New York Times, but the New York Times downplayed it. She felt she really, after seeing what was happening in the New York Times and how the New York Times handled her, but also the other woman who came out and said the same thing and how the New York Times handled this, she said she needed to take one more stab at it, and so she did. Now everybody is starting to jump ship on this guy. I want to start with, no, let me go to the story first, because I really want you to feel this story. It was late 2021. In Maine, woman at home at night.
Plattner out. Plattner out.
Hayes, about the issue of, is there more out there? What else could be out there that might be revealed during the campaign? And you deflected, said, among other things, this is between you and your wife. It was understandable to a limit because for Maine voters in a general election, the question is, what is out there? What is not in your possession that you sent to others who may have in their possession? How many concerning pictures and or text messages are in the possession of other people that could be used against you? And I'd like to know if there are pictures, concerning pictures.
I will just say that
The nature of Amy and I's relationship has been blown, I would say, totally out of proportion. Early in our marriage, we had some struggles, and we worked through them because that's what you do when you're in love with somebody. And it made our marriage much stronger, made us, frankly, a much happier and communicative couple. I was single for the majority of my adult life. I was in my 20s and 30s and I dated, and that's in the modern age. That's what happens. You date people and you use dating apps and you do all this stuff. And frankly, that all happened long before I got married and happened long before I decided to run for the United States Senate. I can just tell you, there is nothing out there that is going to will run counter to any of the stories that I've talked about openly this entire campaign.
That doesn't age well. That didn't age well. Platting her out. Platting her out. Plattner said, there's nothing out there, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. Nothing's going to platten her out. The Democrats, what y'all going to do for 2026, 2020? The Democrats, Eric Stallwell, the Democrats keep falling, man. What y'all going to do? And it all falls down. I said, it all falls down. All right, everybody, let's go to ice, baby. Too cold. It's like ice, baby. Just go back home. So, story coming out now on July 7th, approximately 6:58 a.m., ICE law enforcement attempted to conduct a vehicle stop as part of a targeted enforcement operation to arrest a legal alien. The driver of the vehicle, Lorenzo Salgado Aranjo, an illegal alien from Mexico. Avocados from Mexico. Illegals from Mexico. Attempted to evade arrest. From information we are receiving, he rammed an ICE law officer. I wonder where he got that idea from. Attempted to evade arrest. I wonder where he got that idea from. From information we are receiving, he rammed the ICE law enforcement vehicle, refused to follow multiple verbal commands, and weaponized his vehicle in an attempt to run over ICE law enforcement officer, resulting in our officer firing his weapon in self-defense. The driver was struck and emergency vehicles were immediately contacted. The driver was transported to the hospital where he passed away from his injuries. DHS OIG is leading an investigation into the agent-involved shooting. FBI Houston is leading an investigation into the potential assault on a federal law enforcement officer. Breaking news. Y'all double check my facts in the chat. Breaking news. Brand new ICE-involved shooting in Houston. Double tap at the like button.
That's so fucked up.
Houston, a man is dead after an ICE agent opened fire during a targeted immigration enforcement operation. So here's what we know so far. Federal officials identifying the man as Lorenzo Salgado Arujo, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico. According to federal officials, agents were attempting to arrest him when he instead tried to get away. He's accused of ramming an ICE vehicle and attempting to run over an agent. That's when officials say the ICE agent opened fire in self-defense. The shooting happened just just before 7 this morning in Houston's Magnolia Park neighborhood. 3 other people were detained, and the FBI now leading that investigation. Well, tonight, LULAC is asking for a full investigation, including calling on Harris County officials to do their own investigation into the deadly shooting. LULAC also calling on ICE to release the full body camera video. They say to make sure all of the facts and the truth is known. That is the latest from the Light Desk.
What happened, what I've been able to piece together so far is that whatever interaction happened between 4 men that were in a van headed to work, picking up someone on this street, happened right over here in front of this business and home right here. Now, I'm told by the stepdaughter of one of the men that was in that vehicle that they stopped to pick up a coworker and that they had suspicions that ICE was behind them. Upon arriving at a home on this street, one of these addresses here behind me, the men had some type of interaction with ICE, and during that interaction, Lorenzo Salgado was shot. Video from our media partner Grizzy's Hood News shows that man lying on the ground screaming. He was later taken to Bentop Hospital. Now, when I was able to speak with the stepdaughter of one of the men who was in the car, she said that she and her mother were made aware of what happened due to some social media video that had been floating around TikTok. They saw on that video.
Breaking news, everybody. So what happened is another ICE agent has been ran over. So I'm reporting breaking news right now from Houston. This just happened hours ago. Another ICE agent had been ran over. An ICE agent out conducting duties, somebody that tried to get away ran over an ICE agent, did not follow protocol, and then it resulted in a shooting. We have a brand new ICE involved shooting in Houston. First, what happened was a federal agent was again hit by a car. A federal agent was hit by a car from an assailant who was trying to get away. Brand new breaking news, ICE shooting happening in Houston. We're trying to get details of what happened. We're going live to the Gorgeous Joy. This is Gorgeous Joy from Magnolia Park in Houston with further details. Gorgeous Joy, what you got for us?
Yeah, well, I've been out here trying to speak with neighbors and figure out exactly what happened. What I've been able to piece together so far is that whatever interaction happened between 4 men that were in a van headed to work, picking up someone on this street, happened right over here in front of this business and home right here. Now, I'm told by the stepdaughter of one of the men that was in that vehicle that they stopped to pick up a coworker and that they had suspicions that ICE was behind them. Upon arriving at a home on this street, one of these addresses here behind me, the men had some type of interaction with ICE, and during that interaction, Lorenzo Salgado was shot. Video from our media partner Grizzy's Hood News shows that man lying on the ground screaming. He was later taken to Bentop Hospital. Now, when I was able to speak with the stepdaughter of one of the men who was in the car, she said that she and her mother were made aware of what happened due to some social media video that had been floating around TikTok. They saw on that video the co-worker of her stepdad, Mr. Salgado, laying on the ground, bleeding and begging for help. Like I said, that is the same video that was posted by our media partner, Grizzy's Hood News. Now, as you heard my colleague Bryce Newberry say, the man who was shot, his last name is Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, who has now died at the hospital. Montserrat left here with her stepdad after I spoke, she left here looking for her stepdad after I spoke with her earlier. We haven't been able to confirm that he's in custody. What she's been told from a very brief phone call is that he and the 2 other men that were in the car, not the man that was shot, so 3 men were taken into custody, and then the man that was shot was taken to Bentop Hospital and later pronounced dead. This is a developing story, and as we get more information, we'll bring it to you right here on KPRC 2 News.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, brand new breaking news. ICE shooting resulting in 3 assailants arrested. Of the 3, one of them unalived. ICE shooting in Houston, Texas. We're going to be talking more about that tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching today. What a great show. Everybody watching right now, do me a huge favor. Before you go, hit the like button. The way you hit the like button is you double tap your cell phone screen, or there are 3 dots at the top of this right-hand corner. Hit those 3 dots. It's called an ellipsis, and then it's going to give you the up and down. You could do thumbs up or thumbs down. If you hit those 3-dot ellipsis, the top right-hand corner, hit those 3 dots. It's called an ellipsis. Hit those 3 dots, and it'll give you the up and down. You could down the video, you can up the video, hype the video, like the video, hit the subscribe button, join the channel. That's also free. Everybody right now, all 1,000 people, hit the subscribe button. It's free to subscribe. You may come back periodically, right? If you want to come back every day, hit the notification bell to know when I go live. We go live every day at 1 p.m. We talk about politics from a conservative angle. If you like politics, if you like conservative media, if you like discussing trending topics, hit the like button right now. If you were entertained and enjoyed today's show and you want to hear more, hit the like button. Again, it's free. Use the ellipsis, double tap your cell phone. Also, if you're so inclined, subscribe to the program. The way you subscribe is the same thing. Hit the ellipsis, it'll give you the option to subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe to the channel. You can go to the top to subscribe to the channel. You can hit my name, hit my beautiful, gorgeous, handsome Leo picture. It's Leo season. I'm a Leo. And you can go to the channel and subscribe. Go to the channel. We got all type of fire content on the channel, shorts, long form content. So hit that face in the top left-hand corner. Hit that gorgeous face. His name is perfect. It's the Perfect Timing Podcast. Behind me is gorgeous Joy. Go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe. Had a great day today with you guys. I'm going to go do Taco Tuesday with Team Perfect. Kid Perfect, Miss Perfect, and Little Miss Perfect. And it's going to be a perfect Taco Tuesday. I want you guys to have a blessed day, a blessed Taco Tuesday. God bless Charlie Kirk, the memory of Charlie Kirk. God bless his family and his children. I want to send prayers out to Charlie Kirk family, his wife and kids. God bless his memory. God bless America. See you guys tomorrow. Perfect Timing Podcast. Double tap at the like button, man. I really enjoyed this podcast, spending time with you today. See you guys next time.